successful dating is to recognize men are different from women. And what makes men motivated is different from what makes women motivated. It looks like this. If you ask your mother, this is the culture that we live in, not understanding that men and women are different if we want to have romantic love. Now, keep in mind, I do have this preference. What your mother could teach you in the past by her example or whatever, if she was a happy woman, was a lot of advice that's not appropriate today. For example, there's this whole thing about not talking too much. Okay, because men do. Men say, and a lot of the men you're going to find in a mature age have already been married, have already been in other relationships. And because they didn't understand women, they would have this idea that, women, they go on and on and on. And I can't take it, talking too much. And also in your mother's generation, I know in my mother's, I'm in my 70s, my mother's generation, she didn't talk that much to my dad. She had girlfriends and, talk to the kids. And women in those generations didn't really need to talk to a man to feel better. See, we know now this big industry of coaching and counseling, women could just come and talk and they feel better. And that's because when you talk, if you're a woman and somebody listens to you, it increases your estrogen levels. And you need those estrogen levels to be at a healthy level for you. And to be romantically inclined towards a man, it needs to pretty much double your normal level. So there has to be some kind of interaction that will double your estrogen levels for him to bond with you and for you to bond with him. If I'm going to a job, we're understanding men here. If I go to a job and it doesn't pay much, I'm gonna look for another job. Okay, I'm not that motivated. I just came back from Colorado. They paid me a lot of money to come give a 2-hour talk. I mean, it's amazing. With the whole shutdown thing, I think I'm a little bit wounded by it. I think all of us are, to want to stay home more. I like my home. I like my neighborhood. I like the weather here. So why? But I'm getting out there. But because there was something of more money coming and also the opportunity to talk to 500 wonderful people, it motivated me. So results motivate men. Now in relationships, how do you know you're getting results with a woman? It's biological. She's producing pheromones that say, in your presence, my estrogen goes up. So, but that's for her to feel a man is good enough for her to open her heart to him, or her estrogen levels will go higher and higher. When a woman's estrogen levels go higher in the presence of a man, his testosterone goes higher. And testosterone is the hormone of motivation for men. Also, we have brain chemicals, dopamine, other things. But the bottom line is when a man has dopamine, since people know dopamine is the motivation brain chemical, well, what it does is it just activates testosterone. And that's the hormone that motivates men. That's the energy. That's the juice that gets them going. And most men, as they're getting older, their testosterone levels are going down. Primarily, there's other reasons for it, toxicity and failure in life, whatever it is, can lower testosterone. But the real key to testosterone, for me, what I've learned is my relationship skills. If I can provide for a woman what she needs and wants and hold her, so to speak, in a safe zone, make her feel safe in my presence, she can depend on me in my presence, that raises her estrogen a lot. And that then causes my testosterone to go higher. So at 72 years old, my testosterone levels are 50% higher than when I was a young man. Okay, so I have all those qualities, but also have the wisdom of age. But I need a woman to keep motivating me. My partner was out of town for quite a while, and I just did my exercise at home and meditated and didn't have that much motivation. I certainly have my work. I don't work as hard. But I'm giving the example for women is that women have to wake men up. Women have to motivate men. And that, for some women, that will be, why should I have to motivate him? Well, first of all, why do I have to pay for my groceries? That's just life. That's how the whole system works. If you want to biologically, you want to understand that. A woman's happiness and also her feeling of need value his presence. Okay, that's whenever somebody does something for you, you're a woman, and somebody's doing something for you, it stimulates estrogen. Whenever you feel relaxed and I can depend on someone for something, your estrogen will go up. If I'm not relaxed and I need help, then my testosterone will go up and I'll be more like a independent. And so many women, when they've been single for a while, are already making the independent hormones more than the dependent hormones. So let's just look at this. There's independent, two sides of us, independent and dependent. And I know many people go, oh, I'm dependent. That's a bad word. That's a bad word. Actually, we depend on food, don't we? And so it gives you great pleasure and joy, particularly if you're hungry. You will feel a lot of appreciation for the food you're eating and the person who provides. And if you can't buy it yourself and somebody gives it to you, you feel a lot of appreciation for that person. So my mother, for example, depended on my dad to have a job, go out, and then come home, provide the goods, the money. So she depended on him for that. But more importantly, she also depended on him. She had 7 children, 6 boys. She depended on him to police the kids. You know, she could always say, I'll tell your father.
Right.
I'm giving the idea, depending is not a bad thing. It's if you're depending on someone who's oppressive, who's critical, who's demanding, of course, that's a bad thing. But it has nothing to do with the ideal state we want to be aware of. You know, we need our North Star. If you want a man to fall in love with you and you want to fall in love with him, you have to feel inside yourself, I would greatly value having a man in my life. Not why don't I have a man? Is letting yourself feel lonely, letting yourself feel sad. A lot of women are too masculine to even let themselves admit that they're missing a man and they really want a man. They need a man. And what do you need a man for? If you don't have a man in your life, you're not aware of what you really need. You may want one, you may like one, but when you need one and you're not needy, I know this is confusing, but needy is always dissatisfaction that you're not getting what you need. Need is I'm happy to spend this time with you. Being with you is wonderful. I'm enjoying this time. And quite often when women are dating men, to a certain extent, they're looking to see if he's good enough to continue a relationship with. Okay, so she's comparing, and comparing is the thief of happiness. And it's natural to do. It's also the bringer of joy. You know, when I have more money than somebody else, even though I don't want to admit that, but, you know, feels good. Oh, but the reality there is at a much deeper human level is somebody needs me and I have more, I can provide for them. And that's what men are looking for, is a woman who could depend on him and greatly value what he has to offer. So a quote from one of my clients, she has $10 million and he has a job of making around $500,000 a year. For her, it's never enough. She says, you know, you have more potential. You should be making more money, you know. And then she also says, and you work too hard. Well, why does he work too hard? Because he has a wife who's saying he's not living up to his potential. He should make more money. And of course, one of the differences between men and women is she wants him to support her and not use her money. And that's okay. You see, women's primary need is security. And it used to be that women would get their security by having a man make money. And she didn't have to. But now women have evolved to where they want to be feminine and masculine. And so when you're on your male side, you like to make money. That's good. But what that does, if a man also has money, it doesn't mean much to you because you don't depend on it, because you depend on yourself for money. So what do you depend on a man for? That's what's going to attract a man into your life. What it is an awareness of your emotional needs. So what would those emotional needs look like? Well, I'm not really that happy in my life at work. It's good. I'm doing this. I'm proud of myself, but I'm stressed. Like I'm home. I'm missing something. What am I missing? I'm missing a man who stands by me, a man who hugs me, a man who does things for me, a man who's in the house when I'm sleeping, a man who is considerate of me, a man who thinks I'm beautiful. And, you know, and I want to say something about beauty because women often feel as they get older, they lose a lot of their beauty. No, because what a man really values in a woman are these 3 things. A woman who depends on him for something of value and meaning. A man who, if he's something you can depend on, then you don't demand perfection. You can accept him just as he is. Wanting a man to be more is just a complete turnoff to him. accepting him just the way he is. And this is hard for women because once you're dating for a while, you want to give him advice because you're so confident, you're capable.
Right.
Giving a man advice is ruining the relationship. Ask him for advice. What do you think about this? And what do you think about that? It doesn't mean you have to do what he says. If you're not going to suggest, if you're not going to go, wow, that's great advice, I'm going to do that. If that's not true, don't say to him, well, I'm not going to do that. Instead, have a little finesse. You say things like, that's so interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Or that makes sense to me. That's going to be so helpful as I figure out what I'm going to do. Do you see? You just let him off the hook. When you ask a man for advice, if you don't take his advice, he feels rejected. He feels he wasn't good enough. He just wants to make you happy. He wants to feel that I have usefulness to you. And because women who are independent, who have money, who can make money, well, what can I do that's of value to you? It's kind of the old idea of, which is based on a truth, but it's not the right way to look at it. But it was like the girls who are really smart, the boys weren't attracted to. They want to feel like they know more or have more or something. And the key is you can be super smart and super rich as long as you feel the part of you that needs a man. So what do I need him for? Man, I don't need his advice, maybe. Maybe I don't need his money, maybe. Maybe I don't need his protection. But on an emotional level, what you need is someone who gives you reassurance every day that you are loved, every day that you're not alone, actual physical affection, sharing together in activities together. And that's what you need a man for. Otherwise, you're not going to be as happy as you could be. It's to admit, I would be so much happier if I had a man in my life. And a lot of women didn't have a father who made your mother happy. So you don't know what that looks like or even what that could feel like. So it's kind of like if you're on your male side, your ego won't say, well, I really need a man because I'm unhappy without a man. But this is what you have to look at your life, that there's many things that can make us happy, and you need to have those other things. So you look to a man, particularly when you're financially independent to a certain extent, you look to a man as dessert. He's just dessert. And what a delicious dessert it is. I mean, I have to not eat ice cream, otherwise I get too fat. But I still do on a vacation. I was just on a vacation. Oh, it makes me so happy to get that nice big dopamine rush from the sugar. But I can't do it all the time. So think of men as just dessert. Not that you have to, get everything from him, but you have a life where your emotional needs are met with your children, if you have children, where you have helping the world in some way, making money in certain ways, having friends in certain ways, girl time together, and doing things that you like to do. These are all part of a whole life, and that's the whole meal. Then go to your man for dessert. And if you lessen the burden on him, he will be more attracted to you. But if you have no need for him, he will not be attracted to you. And there's no word, I can tell you improve communication skills, which we'll get to. But there's a reality. Are you in touch with a part of you that really, really would be much happier in your life? Much happier. You're already happy, much happier if you had a man in your life. And you can't just decide, I'm going to be happier with a man. This is just the direction you want to go in. And then you practice skills, which we'll get into, which allows you to ask for what you would like, ask for what you would want, and then the man will deliver that to you. And then you'll start to experience that you are actually can become happier with a man. You have to put the hormones out there. See, the hormones is reality. If you're not feeling, I really need a man, it would be so much happier, then your estrogen levels won't go so high. So this is a powerful thing. So coming back to female hormones, already as you go through menopause and after menopause, you don't have automatic estrogen. You have to make it. When you're younger, you take a 25-year-old, her body's making so much estrogen. So no matter what she does in her life, she's making estrogen, which makes her more attractive to a man. So you see these men going with younger women. Biologically, it's not that they just look beautiful. They don't have wrinkles or whatever thing. It's that they're putting out estrogen. Estrogen puts out a smell, and that smell says, I will really be happy to have a man in my life. And that will raise his testosterone up. These are called pheromones. And pheromones of a woman who's in touch with her female hormones will attract a man because he's looking for a job. All men are looking for a job. So you gave an example of a man, you had conversations. The first problem was you had long conversations. Okay. Mm-hmm. Don't give him so much. And when you have conversations, and this is a little counterproductive, I counter what our mothers would have told us if it were women. As a woman, my mother would have told me, if you want someone to be interested in you, be interested in them.
Right.
Don't be interested in him. He has to earn his way in. If you're like, see some guy, you go, oh, that's good potential, and you run after him, wrong guy. You should feel open to having the right guy come to you and earn his way in, which means give less, give less. This is not a game. This is being authentic. Before I open my heart to somebody, they have to be worthy of it. He has to earn his way in. If he doesn't earn his way in, he doesn't bond with you. He's not motivated to continue because it was too easy. Motivation comes about in men when there's a problem. Think about a fireman. Think of men as emergency workers. There's a fire, he's up. If he's not, there's no fire. He's just sitting around. They just sit around and they have a vulnerability. They tend to take drugs, they drink too much, or they do too much porn. These are things that temporarily boost his testosterone, but don't keep it up. But if there's a fire, immediately I have energy, I have motivation, and the fire can be a fire. But what is a fire? It's someone saying, I need your help. I need your help. So it's important for women to have the attitude that they can't do it themselves. You can do everything, all the other stuff yourself. And even then you're not, even when you're taking care of your health, you're dependent upon a coach, you're dependent on a gym, you're dependent on the environment to go walk in. You have to eat, you're dependent on food. So what are you depending on a man for? This is like a new awareness. Don't beat yourself up for not knowing this, because women haven't been taught what they really need on an emotional level. What they need on an emotional level is to feel it's okay for me to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. When you're so confident and capable, you're scared to ask for help. You may not even feel, you might rationalize it like your male side and say, well, I can do it myself, so I don't want to look foolish and look weak like I need help. It's not weak to need help. It's vulnerable to need help. And that's what turns men on. That's what motivates men. Just think about, guys when they're young, that's when they have more of the male energy. All they have to see is a naked woman and they get motivated. That was a huge, big thing, is that when a girl's taking off her clothes for him, he suddenly has all this testosterone. He wants to make her happy. He's interested in her. He's motivated for her. What did she do? She became vulnerable on a physical level. Now that's immaturity. As you get older, you have greater self-awareness and you can become vulnerable emotionally. And being emotionally vulnerable is a whole new task for women to become soft. See, you don't have that free estrogen anymore that softens you. You start becoming independent, a little tough, a little hard, a little critical, a little judgmental, a little demanding, or too needy. Needy would be connecting with your female side that says, I need more, but I'm not getting it. Okay, that's where the difference between needing a man and being needy. I know a lot of women get confused when I say you have to be in touch with your needs. Anytime something makes you really happy, it's because you were aware that I needed more. Okay, so when you're with the presence of a man, now we'll look at some skills to communicate this. But I have to say, you can do the skills. It will all help, no doubt about it. And so you're not sabotaging the relationship. For example, long talks on internet. And no, let's get together sometime. Don't talk so much to him, but do talk, okay? And make sure that you talk more than him. Now, one of the things about women is they have a great need for connection. Now we're talking about emotional connection, which would be dating, romantic, marriage, and so forth. Emotional connection. Men don't have that need as much. But if you're not opening yourself up to share and letting him connect with you. See, when a man's listening to you, that's his male energy penetrating you emotionally. So if you want a man to be motivated, you have to open up that motivates him to penetrate. He doesn't just knock on the door. When he's younger, he does. But basically, as he gets older, he loses some of that automatic testosterone. It goes down every year. This is averages, not every man. But the average man, when you look at studies of millions, it's a bell curve. But the average man has testosterone goes down 1% every year. every year. So in 50 years, it goes down 50%. So the average 50-year-old man, on average, has half the testosterone of a young man. He needs a lot of help from a woman to motivate him. That's why we have these skills, how to motivate a man to give you more. So that's the dynamic, how to bring out the best in a man to give you more. Because when he gives you more than you're giving to him, he bonds with you. Well, he bonds because he did something for you and you enjoyed it. You liked it. You had a good time. But he doesn't have that automatic motivation because his testosterone levels are lower. And maybe he's burnt by women in the past. I just have to know it's a natural reaction for a man. I remember when I was a young man and I was married for 2 years to my first wife, married to Bonnie for 34 years until she passed. And now I'm married again. So when I can compare my stages of maturity. But when I'm a young man, when I had more testosterone automatically, it was after my first marriage ended. After 2 years, it ended. We're not right for each other. And we realized that, and we moved on with forgiveness and love. There's millions of details that I'm passing up there. But bottom line, I went on to get married in a year to my soulmate, Bonnie. Ironically, again, you can be with the right person and not know it. I wanted to marry Bonnie before my first wife, but Bonnie didn't want to marry me. She said, you need to, you're not ready to be married, is what she told me. And she was right, because I didn't have a good paying job. I'd been a monk for 9 years, and now I was coming out into the world. And if a man looks to a woman for his primary source of happiness, it will be disastrous. They're not ready for a relationship. But once I had my job, I was making money. Now I wasn't feeling like I needed a woman to be happy. I had my work. Now I needed a woman so that I could become happier. And that's what you need to focus on in your life, which is you don't need a man to be happy. You need a man to become happier. I would be so much happier if I had a man to take me to dinner tonight, or I had a man to fix the deck, or I had a man to fix that toilet, or I had a can-do guy that does stuff for you. And a lot of women go, well, I can do that for myself. What do I need him for? You have enough years to realize you'd actually be much happier if you didn't have to do all that stuff. Just taking the trash out. It's a simple little thing, but who wants to do it? And for me, honestly, I always did it for Bonnie, but now I just have my maid do it. Bonnie was very smart. She said, don't empty the trash for him. I want to see him do stuff, okay? You need to feel a man's doing things for you. And what is it, when it comes to conversation, these long conversations, I would presume that she asks him a lot of questions and gets him talking and asks him questions about his feelings. Never ask a man questions about what he feels, period. You can talk about what you feel and what you think and what you wish and what you want and what you like, what you don't like. All that's fine. That's the inner world of you. Don't penetrate him. If you ask questions, you're just penetrating him. You can ask questions to sort of warm up the conversation. It's kind of awkward for a woman just to start talking, because if you have a girlfriend, if you want to talk to her, usually you say, how are you? How are your kids? Whatever. You first ask them questions, and then that person talks for a little while. Now they have to listen to you. That's so the rules on Venus is it's reciprocal. It's not that way on Mars, okay? If I have a friend and a guy calls me up, and he starts talking to me, and I say, great, good. Oh, that's wonderful. And he doesn't ask me any questions, I'm not upset. I'm not bothered by that. I'm fine with that. And if I want to say something, I'll say something, and normally I will. Okay. So men don't wait to be asked. Okay. But when you're dating a guy that can be, you don't know each other, you're trying to find out what's in common, share things. It's a little awkward to just start talking. I get that. So what you do is you can ask your natural questions, but very brief. Let him talk a little bit. Then you say, that makes such good sense. These are magic words. That makes sense. Well, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. And another one is, well, you're right about that. Or that reminds me of. So you give it what's called a buffer. Well, that makes sense. That reminds me of. And you start talking about what you want to talk about. Or you say, well, that makes sense. I have a different point of view. And you express your different point of view. And then what's going to happen is he's got monitors up. As she expresses her different point of view, is she trying to change my point of view? Is she judging my point of view? If she's saying my point of view is wrong, that's why you have to immediately go, if you're going to have a different point of view, you have to share that different point of view, because he needs to know who you are. And if he doesn't know who you are, there'll be no attraction. If you have to hide anything, basically on the intellectual level, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's okay to have a different point of view. Good if you have a different point of view. Differences are good. Differences create attraction as long as your perspective is not making his perspective wrong. I have a different point of view. Now, what he's going to do, because he doesn't understand these communication skills, is that, why would you think that? And I said, oh, that's just my experience. And you have no attachment to defending your point of view or trying to change his point of view. I was dating a woman, and it was just turned off right away when I said something that she disapproved of. And then she spent how could you say that? And why would you say that? A lot of questions just annoyed and irritated me. And I just don't need this in my life. So we did studies, we teach our classes. One of my books, MarsVenus in the Workplace, we teach classes in the workplace. We do surveys of men, what makes them, what they don't like about women in the workplace is one of the, what would you put at the top of the list for men? And what they'll say is, she asks too many questions. Questions and it's a way a woman can connect. If two women are together, you ask questions and you connect that way. You're getting somebody to open up by asking questions. You don't want a man to open up. What you want to create bond and have him call you back and have him be interested in you and having you to actually like him more. Because, even though that was an example you gave me, Michelle, the real issue is women become very picky with the men that they have. Okay, I can't find, he's got a job, he's good, he's nice, but I'm not attracted to him. I'm not feeling passion for him. And that's just your fault. Okay, that is, you've got to get in touch with enough estrogen to where you can depend on him for what's most important. You can accept him for the ways he's not perfect, and you can appreciate what he does for you, that he's in your life. These are the key factors that raise testosterone in men, is asking for help, which means I can depend on you for something, asking for help. So awkward for women to do when they feel I can do it myself. You can do everything yourself, except you can't be happier or without a man.
Well, I think for a lot of women, because I was single into my 40s, so I understand this on some level. I think for a lot of women, they have learned to be so independent out of necessity, or because they haven't felt like they've had another choice. And now they've kind of gone so far to that side that it feels so vulnerable to even say, I would really love to have a man in my life. I mean, some of the women that I work with, it's like a big deal for them to even be able to say that. And then like to accept help from a man. Like one of my clients gave an example of, she's on a trip. She's got a heavy suitcase that she's trying to lift up into the overhead bin. And a man said, oh, I can lift that for you. I can help you. And she's like, no, I got it. Like they've become so independent because they felt out of need or necessity they've needed to. And so it almost feels scary to them to even speak the words or admit or say to themselves that they would really love to have a man or that they could need a man. And I've encouraged my clients, if a man offers to do something nice for you, even though you can do it for yourself, say yes, thank you. Let him, appreciate him. And I've learned so much about this from my years of being single and now having been married to my husband. When he sees me smile or me light up, or I say thank you, or oh, that's so nice, or yes, please, he's just as happy as he could be. You could just see him beaming. He's so pleased that he can do something for me, and that I'm happy about it.
That's exactly it. Here I'm as a man. I gave a talk last week to all these wonderful people, and standing ovation, that makes me happier. They could have just walked out and said nothing. I'd still be happy. But when you give somebody a standing ovation, you're happier. And that's why I go, okay? I don't need the money. But I know if they really appreciate me, I'm certainly helping them, because I also want to help, not just have somebody say, good job. I want to.
Right.
And that's what that's what he's here for, is to be in service of the world, but in service of a special woman. See, that's a big part of it. Nothing can raise his testosterone as high as a woman whose estrogen levels are not going up in his presence. This is just our biology, that we are drawn to each other, that the attraction is there. And you want to feel that attraction. As we get older, it's harder to feel it because our hormones start going down. So, you do get an advantage when you're dating. In the beginning of a relationship, it is new, and that does produce more estrogen for women. It does produce more testosterone for men. But now you're dating for 3 months or 6 months, the newness has gone away. You don't get free testosterone and free estrogen. It's just not it's not automatic. So the man is not motivated and the woman is not as happy. She's not going to be as happy in the relationship. She'll have a lot of complaints. Will start, well, he didn't do this or you should do this. And it just, your brain starts going into what's missing when your estrogen levels are too low. And this is, again, biology for those that kind of go, what is all this hormone stuff? Well, there's Mars hormones and Venus hormones. And Venus hormones, even after menopause, you still have plenty of estrogen if you stimulate it. So this is our genes, female genes will produce estrogen if they're stimulated. When you're younger, you don't depend so much on stimulation. Nature gives it to you automatically to a great extent. But as you get older, you have to, in a sense, trick your body and say, I'm still of childbearing age. I'm still useful in the world, and the body will reward you. That's one way of looking at it. You have the ability through your relationships to generate Mars hormones or Venus hormones. They're there. And you have to do something to generate them. Men need to have to do something for a woman. And that's the thing. After 50, 55 for men, there's such a drop for the average male. He just wants to retire, okay, because he doesn't have a wife who's able to motivate him to take action and continue. Or if he has the good fortune of a job that truly rewards others. Some men don't feel their job is so useful. But when you have a job that's so useful, that's a big testosterone producer. But then if you come home to a wife that doesn't appreciate that part of you and appreciate you, it can drop right down. So I see a lot of very powerful, successful men who lose love for their wives. They're not attracted to their wives because the dopamine is gone. His work gives him testosterone, but his intimate relationship doesn't because it's not intimate. And what's required for intimacy is for women to open their heart and reveal what's inside, which is the part of them that needs help. Okay. In your mother's generation, she just needed, everybody knew you need a man to provide for you. Well, now you don't need a man to provide for yourself. So what do you need a man for? You need a man for emotional security, for emotional support. And what would that look like? Well, for a woman to grow in her wholeness, she's on her male side, she needs to come back to her female side. And when you're on your female side, you're making female hormones. So let's look at, for a younger woman, what female hormones are needed. And then as an older woman, more mature woman, what you have to do to stimulate those hormones. Okay, so because it doesn't automatically happen once you go through menopause. And just like for men, once they get into their 50s, their testosterone goes down unless they're doing something proactively to stimulate testosterone. So, for me, as a 70-year-old, sex is one of the most powerful things, working hard as well, occasional discipline. Like I'm on the third day of a fast, for example. It's always a huge testosterone restorer, keeps my testosterone up. Men have to do things that take discipline. Women, if you want to make progesterone, have to do things that don't take discipline. It's called do what you like. You have to enjoy doing things you like. The word you want to stay away from in your thinking is, I have to do this. Now, why do you have to do things? Because you said you're going to do it. If you don't say you're going to do it, you don't have to do it. So just catch yourself from that place of, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do it. It's a little bit of not healthy thinking. You can adjust even when you have to do something, because we have to do things. You can always say, why do I have to do it? So if I have to pick up clothes for take care of my kids, for example, well, I have to do that. These are my kids. Well, why do I have to do that? Because I love my children. And because I love my children, I like to do this. You have to shift gears from have to, well, these are my choices. So what choice do I have? Well, then I'll just choose to enjoy it. I like to do it because why? Because I love my children. So you have to come back to love as the reason you're doing something. Then you can like it more. Whenever women go into, I have to do something, and that's the challenge for women when as they get older and they don't have a partner, protecting them, caring for them, backing them up as she backs him up. This is for female hormones. If you actually look at the relationship messages a man can give to you, and I know I'm not telling women exactly how to get it, to tell you how you have to be to be able to have a man stay interested in you. And what it is what you have to know what you need, and what you need, why you need a man in your life to be happier. And what will make you happier biologically is restoring not the same estrogen levels you were as a young woman, but to have a balance of estrogen, the female hormone, one of the female hormones, and your Mars hormones. When you're single, it's this uphill battle to not have mainly Mars hormones. You need to feel that if I can't work, if I can't go to job and have it, I want to do my job. I like my job. I enjoy my job. But if I couldn't do my job, I have a man who could take care of me. It's when you feel a man can take care of you and he demonstrates, I care about you. You're a priority to me. And one of the ways he communicates, I care about you. You're the most important person in my life. And, then that comes the fact that he also has children probably. And so am I really the most important You're the most important partner in life for me. You're always going to love your kids. There's no doubt about that. And that's a dance you have to do as well, which you should always respect a father's responsibility to his children or to his family members. And at the same time, there's a specialness that you need to be aware of that you require, and he is required to provide for you, which is that you're special. You're the one he sleeps with. You're the one he plans dates with. You're the one he hugs every day. You're the one he listens to. You're the one who's there to help her in whatever she needs help with. Now, you think, well, where are these men? I wasn't that man in the beginning. I had the impetus to do it, but I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know the value of it. See, men think if I just make money, that's enough, because that was enough for my dad. My mother was very happy. She had her children. She had her neighborhood. When all the kids grew up, then she opened her own bookstore, and that was her part-time job. But, she had a life. It wasn't just work. But when your life is work, you're just making Mars hormones all the time. Venus hormones is doing what you like, doing what you enjoy doing, and making that a priority. That's progesterone. Now you've got, in a woman when she's younger, you have these hormones that happen automatically. And if they don't happen, if you don't get the stimulation for it, then you suffer. Right from the period up to ovulation, it's a series of increasing estrogen levels, and you'll naturally feel needs at that time to increase estrogen. So the research shows that as you get closer to ovulation, your need for romance, your need for sex is something you really look forward to, and it's very enjoyable for you. If this is measurable, estrogen goes up. For example, if you were to have an orgasm produced by somebody else, someone who loves you, your estrogen levels will go to peak levels. My female side needs a man. I want that kind of intimacy. I want to I want to be penetrated by a man. I want a man to come into me and go out. Okay. It's not like he has to stay in you. Just it's in and out, and let him go off with his life. You have your life. I hope this isn't too graphic. Is it, Michelle?
Nope, it's not too graphic. I like to talk about the real world, John. I like to talk about real things, because these are things that people wonder. These are things that people have on their minds.
Yeah. And the same thing, I'll just say, even though this is mainly for women I'm talking to, it is a huge obstacle when men are using porn. Okay. It's one of the major things that lowers their testosterone. And if he's getting it over there, his energy is lost with you. And so one of the ways women...
Yeah, actually, sorry to interrupt, but that is a huge, huge point, because I have worked with women, I've talked with women who have had their relationships not work or break down as a result of pornography. Pornography issue is a huge issue in relationships for people of all ages, because these women and the men that they're with have a hard time. Well, the women feel like they're not enough for the men. Or the men have a hard time being satisfied with just one woman. They want to explore. In fact, I just had a conversation with a woman like a week or so ago, and he's been into porn, and now he wants to introduce, they're married, but now he wants to introduce all of these new practices that involve other people and other aspects of sex that she's not comfortable with. So this whole porn thing, I know, can be a huge obstacle. I actually think any significant addiction could be a huge obstacle in a relationship, because it's like they're already in a relationship with the addiction. The addicted person is already in a relationship with the addiction. I didn't mean to steal your thunder there, but I just think it's huge.
It's a huge issue. Now, I know some women would just go along with it just because their husband's into it and they want to please him. Well, that's called giving more than what you need to receive. You don't give up yourself in your relationship. It's something you may not introduce right away in a relationship. As a man bonds with you, you have more power to ask for help. But as the goal down the line is, it's really doesn't work. I'm being the woman from it. Doesn't really work for me when you do porn. And if I'm not enough, let's talk about how I can be enough. Because something's missing in our relationship if you're needing that. See, that's the reality. And actually, just to let you know, there could be nothing missing in the relationship. It's just that a man looks at porn and suddenly the 14-year-old in him comes out. It makes huge dopamine to look at porn. And that raises testosterone levels up that were not earned. He didn't do anything to earn it, even though if he paid for it. Still, it's all fantasy.
So it doesn't connect him to his partner.
No, it disconnects him. There's a sexual energy. Let me talk about the sexual energy even for a moment. Now, some people may not be into energies, whatever, but let's look at biology. They did studies on, this is even young men, okay, who have naturally way more testosterone than older men. Say, I have way testosterone in my life, but I do the things that I know will stimulate it because my genome won't automatically give me testosterone. But if that's your genes. So if I give the right stimulation, my genes will come up. And bottom line, the right stimulation I've learned, most men don't know, there's many things men don't know, but is that providing help for my partner is a major testosterone level. Now, there's an idea in Men Are From Mars that everyone loves, and I'll repeat that one, is that on Venus, little things make a difference the same as big things. So every act of love, big or small, has the same hormonal response in a woman. Okay, so it scores equal. So I can give her 50 roses, estrogen's going to go up a certain amount. I can give one rose and estrogen's going to go up the same amount. A lot of little things. Occasionally you have to do something big. Birthdays, anniversaries, special vacations, at least one a year, not more. You do big things occasionally. You can't do big things all the time. And the way biology is for women, they don't need big things all the time. They can actually embrace all levels of life. There are many women that live in not big houses and fancy life, and they're very happy if their husband is dedicated to them. That's the dynamic. So men don't know that. Men tend to think bigger is better. Bigger is okay sometimes, but what's better is lots of little. Lots of little. That's affection, that's attention, that's empathy and understanding, that's offering help, that's also having immediate positive response whenever a woman asks for help. Because it's the hardest thing, like you said before. You said something, I can't remember what you said, because I went right to why don't they ask for help? And I'll just go to that. They don't ask for help. Because he might think, you can do it yourself. Why bother him or whatever it might be? So many things women want to not bother him because you can do it yourself. And also when you ask for a man's help, until you've trained him that little things make a big difference. It takes training. Men all think I have to do big things. If the house is on fire, I'll get up and fix it. But if it's, emptying the trash, wait for the maid to do it, or whatever. We don't have the knowledge, the experience that little things with a woman has a big impact, lots of little things. So, and women basically don't ask for little things like, just even the romantic gesture of a man walking to open a door for a woman first, instead of just walking ahead, getting in the car and leaving her there. Okay. When you sort of objectively look at this, you're trying to create a bonding here, do something for her. And then she responds, well, that makes life a little more comfortable. Now, if you're in a hurry and you're rushing, there's a logical reason. That's not going to be a romantic date. As a matter of fact, anytime you rush, it's not romantic. Because maybe on a certain level, it could be romantic. But generally speaking, the big romantic hormone is first women feeling safe. Now, that's a Venus hormone. It's called oxytocin. So first she feels safe and relaxed. Once she feels safe and relaxed, then she can ask a man for help or depend on him for certain things, and her estrogen will go higher and higher and higher. That's what's essential. And it's not all the time that she has to ask for help. If you look at a woman's natural cycle, estrogen has to go up high to the top level in the first 14 days from the start of the period, around that. It's always changing, but then the next 12 days or 14 days, it's the progesterone needs to go up, and estrogen still has to be there, but just less than progesterone. So she still needs to feel I have support, I can be myself, I can open up, my partner's there for me, I'm not worried about sharing what I feel with him, I can just open up and he's always there for me. Now, you might be thinking, well, how can a guy always be there for you? I'll tell you. But first, I want to finish that point. If progesterone goes down in the second part of her cycle, that means she's not doing what she likes to do. Doing what you like to do, what you enjoy doing, is raising progesterone. So women, if they're suicidal, it's always in the 5 days before their period starts, or generally speaking. It's most depression, most PMS and PCOS, all these problems happen when women's progesterone levels are too low at that time of the month. What increases progesterone is doing what you like. Now, as you get older, you don't have such a clear-cut cycle. What you have is, theoretically, you learned through a life of wisdom, what are the things I like to do, and doing those things. And I also look, what do I need? What am I dependent on? And how do I get it? You only get it if you ask for help. You can only ask for help unless you realize the value of asking for help, and also the obstacle to asking for help. And one was, you're afraid of looking ridiculous. You're afraid of looking weak. You're embarrassed by that. You've got this good male ego who says, look what I can do. And that's good. But I can also do the most difficult thing, which is to become vulnerable, which I wouldn't do at work. I'm not going to share my fears. I'm not going to share my insecurities. I'm not going to share my frustrations. If you're really on your male side, you push all your emotions down. And what brings you back to your female side is learning how to process emotions. Okay, processing emotions is so important. To get in touch with your emotions. And most women they can talk about what's bothering them. They can complain. And what they've learned is you don't complain to the man. That's a big turnoff. But you have to be in touch with the female part of you making estrogen. And ironically, we have all these obstacles asking for help. One is you don't even know what you need, or you'd have a belief system that says, I'll look weak, or I can do it myself, or I've asked before and he forgot. So I should just not belabor the point. Or you do belabor the point, nag. That's what nagging is asking over and over, being dissatisfied you didn't get. These are hard lessons to learn, but you at least have to know what you're trying to learn here is how to be feminine. And when you're feeling trusting, when you're feeling at ease, when you feel safe to ask for help, you're being feminine. Just want to acknowledge that. You want to know how to come to your female side? We have processes to help you go there. But first of all, just know what keeps you from when you're not there. If you're stressed, you're making dramatically less estrogen, or you're making dramatically less progesterone. And, for some women to make progesterone, we know some people are more introverted, some people are more extroverted. The extrovert woman needs more social bonding. She needs lots of friends. She needs to talk to people, all that. I was watching an interview with Oprah and Michelle Obama, and Michelle was saying she had 10 really good friends. And Oprah said, you do? She was shocked. She said, I've just got one. Okay. So that it seems to work for Oprah. Okay, if it does. But if you're more introverted as a woman, you have to pamper yourself. Okay, that's doing what I like to do for me, which might be called selfishness. Your friends are saying, oh, would you do this for us? Would you do this for us? And you say, in your mind, you're going, well, okay, I'll do that, because you don't want to say no. But actually you can. This is a way to learn how to say no. It's an important skill is I'd love to, I can't. That's all. Just I'd love to, I can't. Because the real reason is I want to go take a bubble bath. I'm going to go for a walk in nature. I want to go to the gym. And somebody thinks you're going to take a bubble bath. That's more important than what I've asked you for. So don't tell them you want to take a bubble bath, or you want to sit at home and read a book, or you want to watch a movie on TV. Do something that you enjoy doing. Do what you like to do as a balance to what you have to do. There are things we have to do. It's just when we have to do, that's testosterone production. That's Mars hormone. When you do something from urgency, from risk and danger, it's like, I have to get this done or something bad will happen. I promised to do it, so I'm going to do this and I got to do this. All that feeling of independence and challenge raises testosterone. Now, testosterone is a good hormone for women. Women actually make more testosterone than estrogen or progesterone. But when you compare a woman to a man, A man makes 10 to 20 times more testosterone than a woman makes and needs to make. So we need stimulation that says, I have a goal and I can achieve that goal. And our goal, as soon as we have a certain level of self-esteem as a male, look at my job, look what I do, I can do this, I can do that. And then you're going to feel something's missing. And what's missing is you're not sharing your confidence and your skills to make someone special happy, to fulfill them. Then you can experience, I'm happier than I would normally be. I mean, I remember when I married Bonnie, it was so sweet. I was very happy in my life, very free, very accomplished. I was famous as a monk. You know, I was teaching all around the world, okay? And my posters were everywhere. Then I stopped and married after a few years, got married one woman. That was a mistake, moved to another. And that was Bonnie. And I just realized, you know, I'm so happy and fulfilled in my life, but it was like black or white. A woman brings color into a man's life. It brings juice into it. It brings arousal, excitement, joy. We can't get there without women. This is why men, if they get a divorce within 3 years, they're married again in most cases. Within 2 years, you know, and he's already dating right away. And a woman goes, well, wait a second. Because for women, it's like average is 9 years. 9 years. You know, I just talked to one of my friends in her 70s, and she said, okay, I need to let the world know there's a fire still burning in me. I said, let's wrap it up. So now she's like going to shift into that gear. It takes women often longer to get there because they can get love in so many different ways. The primary way a man can feel higher levels of love, besides having children, that's one kind of love, is to have a woman depend on him and appreciate him and trust him. And he does things that have meaning in her life. That's what men are looking for. That's what they're needing. So it's like, think of it as he penetrates her. He does something for her. She responds with happiness. She responds with gratitude. She responds with trust. She responds with, my life is better because of you. That's what makes men bond with women. That's when he wakes up to that. He has interest in her. But let's look at a few exceptions here. Asking for help. If you ask for help for something you can do, most guys he's thinking, why are you asking me? You could do that. That's his reaction. He doesn't know there's a big payoff for doing little things. If you said, look, you know, I'm having an emergency. I need to be taken to the hospital. Boom, he's right there. Because it's a big problem. He's motivated to solve big problems. He doesn't know until he experiences it that doing little things for women really makes him happy. So I'm so happily married now because I learned all these skills in the past. I didn't have to, you know, take years to learn all this stuff. And Bonnie taught me this through our experience together. But, you know, my partner will say to me, oh, would you find my phone? Immediately I'll run and do it because I know that's as much as a romantic evening. Jump right away and go and do that. And she feels like she can ask me anything. She says, would you make me a cup of tea? Always, sure, happy to make you a cup of tea. Now, in my mind, if I didn't understand women, I'd be thinking, well, she can make her own cup of tea. Why should I get her a cup of tea? So why can't she do it? You know. So, and this is the man you're going to meet. Okay, he hasn't been educated that little things make a difference. So how do you motivate him? You let him know. As you're dating him for a while, you say, you know, I just want you to know when you did that, made me feel so good. I really liked it when you opened the door. And even though I could pay for the meal, when you pay for the meal, I don't know, I feel so soft inside. I feel like I can open my heart to you. You tell him these things. And
I think you're making a really, really good point here. I just wanted to add just one little thing to give a tangible example. Like one of the things I've asked my clients to do who have been operating more in the masculine energy and are not used to having help available to them or not used to asking men for help is to just ask for his opinion or advice on something. Or like you stand up in the restaurant, maybe it's winter time or you have a little jacket or coat. You just hand it to him and say, would you be so sweet to help me on with this? And the men will do it.
Yes.
I've never had any woman tell me a man said no. And then she says, oh, thank you. That's so nice. Just little teeny things can be an opening for this.
You see, it's not logical to him, but your hormonal reaction tells him he did a good job. It's biological. Oh, I kind of like that. And what keeps women, another thing that keeps women from I mean, some women just don't know that a man's greatest joy is making you happy, doing something for you. Okay. He just doesn't know that doing little things will do that. So he's not going to do those things unless you ask him to do it. So one of the things you just added was wonderful, which is well, what do you think about this? Occasionally say something. What do you think about this? That's so helpful. Oh my gosh, I would never thought of that. Boom. He just bonded with you a little bit more. My wife says, will you unzip me? She can do it by herself. She can do it. But she says, would you unzip me? And I'm zipping it down. I go, and I can feel her going, oh, I didn't have to do that myself. He's there for me. It's a feeling of somebody is responding to your request. That's so, so important. And women don't know that you train a man by asking him to do things for you and then having a nice response. It's not like you go, oh my God, you just put that cape on me. No, it's just like, feels so good. That's nice. Thank you. Then he experiences that. And then you can also sometimes educate him and go, the little things you did the other day, it just touched me so much. I so much enjoyed that you did this. Enough. Don't educate him too much because he can sort of smell like you're trying to be his teacher. You don't want you to be his teacher, but he also, my wife taught me so much without having to be my teacher, just her experience. So this is how any negative message you give to a man is going to push him down and lose interest in you. You always want positive messages, but the most positive message is, and I hear some women go, well, I want to tell him if I didn't like that restaurant, I should tell him I don't like that restaurant. Okay. No, you don't. If you want romance in your life, you want a man to be interested in you, you find something nice about the restaurant and you say, I did really enjoy that, whatever it was. And you don't have to say all the things you don't like on a romantic date. Now, there's another situation where you're not in the romance of the relationship and you kind of go, I'm kind of tired of that restaurant. No details. I like this restaurant, and let him know. Here's a subtlety. Never say to a man, if possible, these are not hard, fast rules. This is what I want you to do. Then he feels like he's not offering that from himself. Okay. Even though if he says, yes, that's good. But women ultimately don't want to feel like they're guiding and directing a man all the time. And so
right.
And he doesn't want to feel that way. So there's a workaround. The workaround, and I'm going to use the example you gave at the beginning of our interview. And that was, he says, maybe we'll get together on Friday.
Yeah, but then he doesn't follow up or anything, set a time or a place.
So here's what you do as a woman. He said that. You could say it then, or you could ponder it and then send a text and says, here's 3 things I'd like to do on Friday. That's it. Here's 3. Take your pick. In this case, he already said, maybe we'll get together on Friday. And that's one situation. And then he doesn't follow through. Then next time in the future, what you know to do is when a man says maybe is never a follow through, but a short text, here's 3 things I'd love to do on Friday. Boom. Give him a picture in his mind of what I could do. Let it settle in. These things have to settle in. And then by sleeping, there's a part of the brain, the interior reticular, I now forget the name of reticular activating system, is that you just give the thought and he sleeps on it and then it becomes his own thought. Now, I tell you, one of the biggest complaints women have in the business world and even in relationships is they often will say something to a guy and then later on, he'll say that same thing and take credit for it like it's his idea. And women are like, I say these things and then suddenly he thinks he owns it, because it goes in, his brain thinks about it and it comes out as his own idea. He doesn't realize he just took the idea from you, which is why women feel so unappreciated in the workplace. But men sort of have to take it inside and maybe they piss on it with one little addition or something and now it's his. So, but the same thing can happen in the dating situation. And I know this sounds really bold, and that's why you put it in a text, because maybe he never met a woman who just said, here's 3 things I'd love to do on Friday. And just leave it like that. And then, because he did mention, in that case, if he did mention, if he doesn't mention, and, you have to have there's so many different scenarios that can come up, but that's one where in the relationship, if you've been dating for a while, then you always let him know, here's 3 things next weekend I'd like to do. Or you pick, and it's only what you'd like to do. It's never what he'd like to do. It's his bonding with you to do something for you. And if he says, Oh, but I'd rather go here and here and here. I said, well, tell me why. And then you can, well, that makes sense. That's a good idea. But for a romantic evening, this is what I would like. Just say it. For a romantic evening, this is what I could like. Doesn't mean you won't do that thing with him, but you made it clear in a subtle way. For a romantic evening, this is what I would like. And this is what I would like to do. But we can do that this time. But be careful not to always default to what he'd like to do. And there's nothing wrong with a man. You could say, oh, you're so selfish. After a year of being married to me, Bonnie said, we always do what you want to do. And I went, no, we don't. We always like doing things together. She says, I give you little hints about what I would like. And then you say what you'd like. And I feel like, okay, we'll do what you want. But then next time you'll do what I want. See, that's a very Venus thinking, reciprocity. I'll do for you, then you'll do for me. So no, it doesn't work that way with a man. Because in my mind, she wants to go to the symphony. I want to go watch a movie. If she says, okay, we'll go watch a movie, in my mind, I'm thinking she's thinking that's the better choice. So we're always doing what we decide to do. Don't let him do that, because if he's only doing what he wants to do, he's not bonding with you. He's not feeling I provided this thing and you're getting actually what you want, as opposed to you're getting a compromise of what you want when you go do what he wants to do. Nothing wrong with doing what he wants to do. Occasionally, it should be way more on your side. Same thing. It's okay for him to talk a little about his life and what he feels and what he thinks, only a little bit. Don't be that interested in what he has to say. Shift gears to what you have to say, and always give the message that you're never judging as pushing down his point of view. This is for romantic dates. I'm just thinking of that one woman who just couldn't believe that I had I'll just make a real story, which is the story was I had just come back from Saudi Arabia. It's a good point in it. And she's very judgmental about that culture, which is a more dominating culture. Women can't do certain things and whatever. And yes, that's a different culture. They're working out their system. They're evolving as they go. But I said, it's not all bad. You can't just suddenly judge everybody. It's not all bad. I'll give you an example. And I said, I just was invited to a dinner party when I was teaching a class there on gender differences. They're very open to relationships and so forth. But anyway, they took me to dinner at night. It was 11 o'clock at night because it's hot during the day, under the stars in the desert. And there were like little tents some places, but lots and lots of tables, over 1,000 people at this restaurant. And nobody was looking at their phone. They all have phones. These are rich people. They all had nice cars and everything. None of the kids were on their phone. None of the people were looking at phones. And particularly it was the men talking to men and women talking to women. And I think that would be a better world if we had more space for men to talk with men. Because when men talk with men, their testosterone goes up. When men listen to women and women appreciate men listening, their testosterone will go up. But if men talk about their feelings and she's talking about her feelings, estrogen goes up in a man and testosterone goes down. So I'm just giving the warning. Psychology is telling all women that if you want to connect with a man, ask questions, get him to talk about his feelings. Why do women want to connect with a man? They want to connect with a man because when he detaches, you can be in a conversation with a guy, and this is good for dating as well. You could be talking about something and it just touches a button inside of him. That button could be, what does she expect from me? Or what should I do about this? Or is that correct? Or that isn't my experience? Or now what am I supposed to do? It's just he's pondering how to react to what you just said. When he ponders to react, he will disconnect from you. Now, this is my favorite thing, Lauren, one of the favorite things my daughter Lauren teaches women, which is as soon as he pulls away, rather than feel like, did I say something wrong? Or is he not interested in me? Did I upset him? And every woman knows that experience, which is they suddenly detach. And when a man detaches, it's very different from when a woman detaches. A woman detaches when she doesn't feel safe and she's unhappy with you, or she doesn't feel understood and she's judging you. She pulls back. It's like a little bit of resentment or dissatisfaction. She detaches. Men detach just to think about something. Okay? They disconnect from their feeling side, going to their Mars hormones to analyze, what should I do about, what should my response be to her, what she's talking about. And when he detaches, then women say, what are you feeling? And now he says, he doesn't know what he's feeling because he's thinking. But all you have to do, rather than panic at that moment or feel like you have to penetrate him, is just simply say, oh, you're thinking about that. And he says, yes. You'll immediately get a yes, and you'll feel connected. Because ultimately, when men detach, biologically, it's for a different reason than when women detach. Now, I'll tell you the biology of this. This is the physiology of this. When we're feeling at ease, we're making a nice balanced hormone for ourselves. When we start to feel adrenaline, a little stress, this is little problems, a little problem to solve. When women have a little problem, they have 8 times more blood flow to the limbic system of the brain, this emotional center. 8 times more blood flow under little problems. If the problem is big, then women disconnect from their feelings completely and they become a warrior. Okay, cold as ice, tough, whatever. So that's a woman being detached. It takes a lot for a woman who loves a man or is interested in a man to detach. And it has to be, he has to perform poorly for her to detach. But if she's just a little stressed, it's going to be 8 times more blood flow. Well, that's adrenaline. So you can measure in a woman when she has adrenaline, she has all this blood flow to the emotional part of the brain. When adrenaline is being produced in a man, it disconnects him from his emotions. He decreased blood flow to the emotional part of the brain. If you're a man and you drive fast, you notice you really like it because you have no fear. You see, you know, these guys climbing mountains, could die in an instant. It's because they're free of their emotions. They get to completely become mindless. They're doing their action. It's like freedom from all these concerns and worries and frustrations. So that's why guys will tend to drive faster because once you get into that adrenaline zone, you're at ease. There are no other problems to distract you. You're not frustrated you didn't make money, of this person at work, or this not getting enough sex, whatever it is. Just drive your car a little faster than the speed limit and you'll make adrenaline. And that adrenaline will calm you. And if your wife's sitting next to you, she'll have adrenaline too. And she'll start feeling all these.
She'll be hanging on to the car going,
which, by the way, which is a good technique. My wife, we figured it out together. Men do not like being told how to drive. Men do not like being told directions when they're driving, unless they're asking. If I'm asking, different story. But if I don't ask for help, don't give me help, period. If I'm not asking for help, don't give him help. But you can ask things for yourself. You can ask for help. And so if he's driving in a way that makes you feel unsafe, you need to ask him to slow down. Now, that's tough when a guy is in a state of adrenaline to hear you. And it's kind of like, well, she wants me to slow down. Now she's driving. I thought I was driving. There's a frustration that many men have, women giving instructions. And as a matter of fact, you can see this whenever there's a man driving a woman around, or when a woman is driving a man around. In most cases, it's because he got so tired of her telling him how to drive. Okay, if you know how to drive, you can drive. It creates peace. And of course, he's now waiting in this, depending on her for security and safety, just makes him more feminine, makes him more irritable over time. And she's feeling more stressed over time. This is the best foreplay, is having a man drive. When a man drives in a way that makes you feel comfortable, this is massive foreplay. If you feel safe at a time where there is danger, when you get in a car, it's really danger. We suspend the belief that it's danger, but women's body knows it can be dangerous. And her body needs to be assured again and again that it's safe. So when my driving, so many fights happen in the car. But it's
the guard trips.
So true. But anyway, so Bonnie said to me, well, if I'm uncomfortable, don't you want me to be comfortable? I said, yes. So how do I tell you to slow down? I thought, I couldn't figure out a way for her to tell me to slow down when I'm really driving and focused without my being a little annoyed and irritated. We're just trying to avoid all the annoyance and irritation. Finally, I came up with the answer. I said, all you have to do is don't say anything. Just grab the handle. If you grab the handle, it's like sign language. It's very primitive.
Like her trying to brake a little bit, right?
Brake. She just holds the handle. It's a signal. So she gave her signal, and then this is like discussed beforehand. You give this signal, and then I'm going to put my hand on your leg, on your thigh. I'll just reach over and touch your thigh and say, I did that for you. And she then says, thank you. And she truly feels thank you. It's not like you should drive slow. You see, women can get into what you should do as opposed to what would help me. It's a big difference. It just comes across as disapproval and blame and control and I failed, as opposed to asking for help. So this is asking for help. And I slowed down. And then what's my reward for that? I put my hand on her thigh and I said, I did that for you. We did that for 30 years. I mean, this was so sweet. We did it with yellow lights as well, because I always run a yellow light. And and some red lights. Okay. So no, he's around. So
we're not recommending that.
I don't recommend that, of course. But and I'm not a person, just I give good advice. All right. So we see a yellow light coming. I stop, even though I could easily go through a yellow light. That's not illegal. And I stop because that's what she feels most comfortable with. I stop at yellow lights. I put my hand on her thigh and I did that for you. And she says, I know, and I appreciate it. See, it's giving me credit. And it's not my big ego. It's simply, my big ego. I don't have a big ego. I can give my talk and people can clap or not. But if they give me a standing ovation, makes my day, makes my memory. It gives me more. It bumps my testosterone more. That's what a marriage can be, a relationship can be. Is I got a great life. You're a mature woman. You've got your life together. Something's missing. You're not sleeping with a man. You don't have a man making love to you. You don't have a man awakening your estrogen hormones. And a lot of women get over in their 70s and they think, oh, I'm not all, but they think, oh, no more sex for me. I don't have enough estrogen. It's all dry down there, and it will get dry. It will be painful if you don't make enough estrogen. So basically, I have students who are in their 70s, almost 80s, who are having great sex every week. And this is another dynamic I want women to know in the dating is once you start having sex, and I'm all about don't have sex until you feel completely free to express your mind. Then don't have sex until you feel completely free to express your feelings. And he's interested in your feelings. So you have to undress. Do you undress physically first? No. You start with your mind, then with your heart, and your heart opens as he does things for you. He does things for you. He's got to do things so you can then actually feel, not fabricate, actually feel appreciation. When you feel a lot of appreciation and when you feel I trust him to do what he can for me, I can depend on him. That's when you ask for help. You're expressing trust. Why do women not ask for help? They don't trust you're going to get a positive response. And there's a reality to this, which is why you don't trust, is there's this thing that men do when they're asked to do something that they don't think there's going to be a big enough reward. They grumble. Now, I'm looking at my dog right now. It reminds me of this. When a man grumbles, it's like a dog barking, but his tail is wagging. When a woman barks, her tail is not wagging. Okay, it's very
That's the truth.
like, if I say, honey, would you pick up my clothes at the cleaners? And she said, but I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this. And I said, really, really, I need you to pick back up. So she's going to do it because I persuaded her to do it. But she's going to remember that always. She holds on to these things. She resents him for, demanding more of her. Men are not that way. Here's an example of how men's mood shifts. When we got a little dog, she wanted the dog. I set it up so I didn't want to be so involved with the dog, so I wouldn't have to do everything. But we got the little dog, and you have to bring the dog for shots for 3 times to the vet. First time she goes, she complains. It's her little dog, it's her thing. Okay, you can do your thing. So she takes the dog to the vet, and she comes back telling me how awful it was. It was such a long drive. Why isn't there one closer? The other dogs are barking. Our dog's very protective. I got angry. And I said, she just tells me the story. I said, what a bummer. That's awful. She does it again, off on her own. Then the 3rd time she says, John, do you want to take the dog to the vet? I said, no, because men are very literal. Do you want to take? No. And why don't you? Well, you've talked about how terrible it is to go to the vet. So why would I want to do that? But if you'd like me to, if it would make you happy, then I'll be happy to do it. She goes, that's impossible. How can you be happy to do it if you don't want to do it? Well, I didn't want to do it until I learned that it would make you very happy. And I needed to hear it, that you're happy. Then I go, well, if it just makes you happy, men are logical. If it's a terrible thing to do, I don't want to do that. But if doing that will make you happy, then I want to do it. Suddenly my mood shifts. Men are so easy to motivate and change once you understand this dynamic of giving them, start with little things and then ask them to do it. So she could have said, and we learned a lesson from that. It took her a while to figure out that I can do things for her that right away I will have a little grumbles. Eventually they all went away, but I have a little grumbles. And I'm just looking for, in a sense, reassurance that if I do this, it makes a difference. That's all men want to know, is it makes a difference. So one time, she asked me to bring home the milk for the kids. And I forgot, 3rd time. And so then I said, honey, I'll get it tomorrow. It was always, I'll remember tomorrow. But I would forget. My mind doesn't even hook into little things like picking up milk. I'm not like feeding the kids all day, knowing the milk's out, hearing the kids complain about whatever. So she's got a different reality. And me, it's making money, trying to achieve this goal. We were very traditional. I supported her while we had little children. So anyway, she saw me going to bed that night. She saw me moving, very smart. She followed me. And I'm kind of wondering why she's following me. And I sit down in bed and I taking off my shoes. And then she just sat down next to me. So I'm like wondering what's going on. She says, John, it would be so nice if you went to this store and got milk. She didn't say, I've asked you 3 times and you still haven't done it. She hasn't decided to do it herself. She's training me. Now, see, men can be trained. Everything is about training. We have to learn, if I do this, I feel good. If I do this, I don't feel good. That's how we train. So there I am, just tired. And I said, I'll get it tomorrow. I'm really tired. I just want to go to bed. And I was working really hard. I'm not that tired anymore about anything. But then I was really in the grind of putting in the hours, trying to pay the bills and everything. So I'm really tired. I sat down and she says, I know you work so hard. And then I feel like, okay, I won this argument. I don't have to go. Okay. And he says, create the space. And then just be truthful to yourself. It would just be so nice if you went to the store. We'd have milk in the morning. No, really? Look, I promise you. Now, she could have said, I've already asked you 3 times. She didn't. You want to always make the guy successful and anyway are neutral and successful. Don't go to you're no good. So then this went on 3, maybe 4 times where I had my little, all right, I promise I'll do it. And she says, well, that would be really nice. It's just tomorrow morning. It would be so good. I feel so good if you went right now. Okay, I'll do it. Now, that's the grumbles. Now, later on in life, I've been trained. I don't say that. But this is the fear women have. She's going to resent her because women resent when they're pushed to be controlled. Mm-hmm. She can control me, but it has to be done in an artful way as a request. It would just be so nice. She must have said it 3 times. It would just be so nice. I'd really love it. And just sat with it, not defending it, not saying you said you'd do it, you didn't do it, not a big story about the kids really need it, you haven't done it. Nothing that make me feel like I'm a bad husband. Okay. So 3 times, it would be so nice. And then okay, I'll do it. I analyzed why I had that little tantrum, very little, and it went away very quickly, even if I hadn't analyzed it, because I analyzed it later. I'll tell you what I learned about myself. But I kind of like, okay, I'll do it. What a bummer. She's bothering me. And I got in my car. I remember I skidded out and then took off. And as I'm driving down the hill, something happens to the store. Biologically, I now have a new goal. See, women don't have this hormone system. As soon as I had a new goal and I had the ability to get there and pay for it and do it, my testosterone came up. And
now you're on a mission and you can be successful on this mission, right?
That's right. And the only reason I grumbled even was because I didn't know that I get a big reward for doing it. Because man doesn't think getting milk is a big deal. That's why I forgot the milk 3 times. Now, even to this day, I sometimes call and say, do you need me to pick up milk? And I do milk runs all the time, just thinking, I'm doing this great thing. I got in my car. What man has a problem getting in your car and driving somewhere? Because it feels so good to you. It makes you have a goal. See, when a man has a goal and he has the ability to achieve that goal, no matter how big or small, testosterone is going to go up. So now my testosterone is getting there. And this is what I felt as a guy. Completely forgot about the grumbles. It's all done. It's not history. I don't have to talk about my feelings. None of that stuff. I'm a man. I don't have to do that. I have to just solve a problem and my testosterone comes up. So you want to give men problems that they can solve. And it can be little things. The training is little things. Like you gave a great example. Would you put my coat on? It's simple as that. And also never paying for a meal for a man when you're dating. And asking for his advice at times and asking, I had a hard day today. I want to talk about it for about 5 minutes. Would you listen? I'll just feel better connecting with you. And he'll say, sure. Well, I don't know why she wants to do this, but I could do that. And then you basically connect with some emotion. You say, I'm so frustrated today. This person said to me this and this and this. He's going to interrupt you. He's going to say, well, you shouldn't worry about that. And I said, you're right. You go into, you're right. But I just need to talk about it a few minutes and you'll see I'll feel really good. I just need to get it out and I'm done. Okay, so you share a little bit of your frustrations, or you share a little disappointment. I thought this was going to happen. It didn't happen. Well, I'm still concerned because I'm doing this and my kids are having problems at school. Just a little, just to connect with emotion. If you if you feel safe to share emotion, your estrogen goes up, because those emotions that you have are not safe to be revealed in the workplace. See, you maybe with another girlfriend you can do that, but not at the workplace. So you're pushing it down and you're pushing it down. And so now you're going to let it out just a little bit. You're training him. He's going to listen for 5 minutes. You shared a few emotions. The best emotion to ever share with a man is, today I was talking to so-and-so and I completely blew it. I'm so embarrassed. I said this or I said that. I know for me, we had a movie star, a famous musician. I live in Mill Valley, a lot of musicians here. And she's real famous and she knew of my work. And we sort of met before briefly, saw her again in town. And she wanted to take one of my classes because she'd been burnt out on a tour. That would be really good to take one of your classes. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. And she said, but what about, me being a celebrity? Is that going to be okay? And then I said, oh, nobody will know who you are. We laughed about it later. My wife said, you put your foot in your mouth, didn't you? I was so embarrassed, that I said that. And, you have to let it go. But when a woman says to her husband, that man you're dating, oh, I said this thing, I'm so embarrassed. It's so revealing. See, you're revealing emotionally what you're not going to show anybody. Nobody talks about, oh, I'm so embarrassed I made this mistake, or I said this faux pas, or this happened to me. So revealing, it's like you're unwrapping the petals are starting to open up on a flower. You're feeling safer. You're giving him a huge gift by revealing problems that you wouldn't share with anybody else, and not everything at once, okay? You're revealing a little bit more of you, and then say, gosh, I feel so much better. As a woman, sometimes I just need to talk about this for a few minutes, and I feel so good. Wow, you just said something magic and instructive as well, that a woman can be unhappy, and she can move into happiness, and I don't have to do anything except listen. So this is a major lesson. Now, my father didn't need to do that for my mother. She didn't share her feelings with my father. She didn't need to have emotional intimacy. She was in a place where a man provided money for her and protection from her to control the kids. That was enough for her. Lived in a nice neighborhood. So she got what she needed because she really felt those needs. You don't feel those needs once you can make money. What do you need a man for? So you have to find out and experience what you need a man for, which means to take that risk, ask for him to do something, and notice how it makes you feel. And you're like, yeah, this is more me. This is my feminine side. I can ask him to do things. And it takes a big risk. I mean, you're going to ask, and sometimes he's going to grumble a little bit. You'll feel that resistance. You might even anticipate that resistance. And when he does it, just simply say what my wife said. It would just be nice. I'd like that a lot. It would make me feel so good. And just let there be a pause. Don't push it, but just say, it would just feel so good. And you gradually, little steps, but asking him to do things. And just say, I feel so good when you do little things for me. It just makes me feel open and happy. So that's why I ask for little things. And when you say ask for a little thing, a man doesn't have a problem with that as long as he knows it's something, even if you can do it yourself, it makes you happier if he does it for you. And not all the time, but that's how you build bonding with a man. And so much of the time you're trying to impress a man. Don't let him impress you. That's the whole thing. And how does he impress you? By penetrating you, by you opening up. Because when you penetrate him, you're being the man. When you're asking him questions, you're on your male side. He's not attracted to your male side. And then you have this other dynamic I mentioned before. We have to do newness and sex. So when you get to the place where you feel emotionally safe to open up to him, mentally safe to give your points of view, have conversation with him, now that's the best time to start getting undressed. You see, that's another level of vulnerability. If you get undressed too soon, then what happens is he has sex with you. Always after sex, men's testosterone levels go down. And if he doesn't have a full bonding with you in the heart and in the mind, what happens is he doesn't have any connection with you. It's like he pulls away, and a part of it, he's disgusted by you. Now, they don't always admit this. They talk about guys, suddenly your toes look too big. Or, it's like he notices what's wrong with you because you had sex too soon. Now, I saw a cartoon that once said, is it really true that if you have sex too soon that a man won't like you? And the answer is, well, he won't like you as much, but he'll like himself more. So he learns to like you more than he likes himself more, because if he gets to do something that makes you feel good. So here's another one. Men are for their ego, which in our society erroneously says everybody's having sex. People are having much less sex than ever before. But he feels for his ego as a man, I should be able to get a woman to have sex with me. So that's a big, big ego thing. And not a bad thing. It's because men have always, if you're an alpha man, women want to have sex with you. That's just the reality of history. And, when the soldiers came back from war and World War II, women all wanted to have sex with them. They're kissing them and hugging them and going to bed with them. Because why? Because here's a man protecting me. I feel safe in his presence. Estrogen levels go up and she's now in the mood to have sex. So if you're having sex just to make sure you keep him, or just to please him, or just because you're addicted to clitoral stimulation, he's your vibrator, that's the wrong time. It should be because you feel really safe with him. Your heart is open. He's been pursuing you. And a part of you really wants to have sex with him because you want to have sex with him. And it's not just that addiction. Because once you start using clitoral stimulation, which, by the way, clitoral stimulation produces testosterone, male hormones. Vaginal stimulation, breast stimulation, kissing all stimulates estrogen. So you only want to get to the clitoris after you've got a lot of estrogen and testosterone starting to come up, and then get right into the vagina. You don't want to just be always dependent. Sometimes for fun, you do what you want to do in sex, but really the clitoris is dangerous. First of all, if there's no clitoral stimulation, often then women don't want to have sex. They're just accommodating their partner. What happens biologically for a woman as her estrogen levels naturally rise due to estrogen stimulation, where you feel someone is there for you, they're caring for you, you're important to them. And that's why monogamy is so, so important. You're number one. Okay, that has to be there in my mind. Now you've been there. That's going to bring your estrogen to higher levels. Rather than, the woman on her male side, she's producing male hormones, which says, I want to have sex. Okay, that's your male side wanting sex. And usually it's very clitoral stimulation. As opposed to, if you look at the natural estrogen procedure of being able to make a baby, which is what sex is all about, your estrogen level goes really high. And then around a day or two before ovulation, just biologically, what will happen is your body releases a hormone in the brain, luteinizing hormone, and then it goes down to your adrenal gland and produces testosterone. And testosterone makes you want to have sex like a man wants to have sex. So you need to have estrogen levels go high, then you want to have sex, because you've got all this feminine energy that says, I want to be penetrated. Okay, so that's one dynamic. Another one is women just on their male side who just want clitoral stimulation. Okay, that's addictive. That's because you're making testosterone, and just testosterone without the estrogen. So that's a problem with it, even though it feels good. Eating ice cream for me feels good, but it's not good for me to do that often. Just because things feel good doesn't mean it's good for your health, your well-being, and certainly not for your hormonal imbalance. This morning, I did an hour of exercise, and it doesn't feel good. It's hard. I'm fasting now for 3 days. I'd rather eat, okay? But I do this once a month, so my testosterone stays high. I don't have the same energy level I would have. So exercise was like, gee, I don't want to do this. And I stopped in the middle and said, well, let me rest for a little while, and then I'll come back to it. But it was hard. It was difficult. It was overcoming a challenge, and that makes a man's testosterone surge. Makes me feel great because I am masculine. Those are the male hormones. But I have a woman I care about. That raises my estrogen. So if you look at the men on averages, now I'm not the average because I have this knowledge, but on average, every year a man's testosterone level goes down 1%. This is our culture we live in. And particularly with the with all of the plastics and the pesticides and the GMOs, these are all called hormone disruptors. It makes women more masculine. It makes men more feminine. It lowers his testosterone and contributes to a woman's estrogen going too low. So those are factors that you can't do a whole lot about. Okay, you can do something about it, but you can't do a whole lot about it. You can also cleanse, like I do, detoxify these poisons in the body. That's a good thing. But most important is sex. Okay, so and all the things I'm talking about, male Mars Venus. Sex, when you get to that place where your body really wants to be penetrated, that's when you have sex with a man. Before that, you can kiss, you can touch, first base, second base, but you've got to stop it. Now, if you stop it, a man could reject you. He feels vulnerable and he feels rejected. He's already on his female side, so he's going to feel rejected. So you got to be real careful with his ego at that time. He still could be a great partner, but you have to know there's realities you have to deal with here. And sex is the only time where a man is fully vulnerable is when he has an erection. Okay. He has no ability to defend himself. Any negative message you give him at that time is tough for him. And you get a reactivity where he will withdraw and pout and that all. He's going to his female side when he's aroused. Okay. So he's going to be like a girl who gets her feelings hurt easily. And that's the only time when he's on his female side that he can have his feelings hurt. So he's aroused, he's turned on, and you're enjoying that. He's enjoying that. You should have no goal other than wait. How do you stop it without offending him, hurting his feelings? Okay. You just simply say, I like to go slow. This feels so good, and I don't want to go any further because I'll go out of control. Well, good, go out of control. No, I've learned from history, I need to go slow. I'm more traditional. I just need to go slow. Well, why? One answer is enough. I just need to go slow. And then I know I'm going to love it. And already I know my body's going to love it, but I need to take some time. And then I'll really, really love it. So you just let them off the hook, because you can say, oh, yes, I want to have sex with you too, but I have to go slow because my tendency is to get too needy. If you want to go more details, after I have sex, I get a little needy. I don't want that. I'll let you know the right time. I'll let you know. So that's another key thing, even for married couples. I say to my wife, do you want to have sex? And she says, not really. I've got this to do, this to do, this to do. That's a terrible message. But you can say, do you want to have sex? She says, I always want to have sex with you. It's just I have to do these other things. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Now you can get ready. You have this anticipation. I'll let you know. He's going to be fine with that as long as he knows you want to have sex. Okay, just tell him, I always want to have sex with you, John. I just need to, do all these things first, and I'll let you know when. And that could be next week. He could say again, is this the time? No, I'll let you know. I'm getting there. You need to get positive messages that he won't interpret as rejection. And so what would happen, I didn't know that one skill. So I'd write a book for a month. I could write a book in a month, but it's like 18 hours a day. I'm in front of the computer. She's neglected for a month up in that house. How's she going to have the estrogen? It's going to take her time. So I come up and I've just saved the world. I feel like I'm coming into a huge arena and everybody's cheering for me. That last 5 pages, I'm in ecstasy. I did this whole thing. It's going to be over now and I'm done. So I'm feeling my testosterone is so high. And she's neglected all this time. Her estrogen's so low. And I want to go have sex with her. And when do you want to have sex? She says, I don't know. I just need more romance. Okay. One time she said, we need to get reacquainted. I mean, what do you mean I'm your husband? Okay. So all that aside, solved the problem. When I said, do you want to have sex? When I have sex, she says, John, I always want to have sex with you. I just need a little more estrogen to enjoy it. See, this is such great knowledge, understanding. I need more of my female hormones to fully enjoy it. I'll let you know. But that last part about I'll let you know would make me angry, okay? Because I'm sitting here waiting, not knowing, is it time? Is it time? It's humiliating for a man. So many men, when they're married to women, trying to convince them to have sex. To have your partner want to have sex with you is the greatest gift. And you can put it off if you just say, oh, part of me really wants to have sex with you, but I need to go slow. Now he's off the hook. Yeah, she wants to have sex with me. I'm quite the guy. So these are encouraging messages whenever possible. Another thing, if he does something that upsets you and you're upset, you can't always control that. You can simply say, look, it's not a big deal, but I pushed a button inside of me and it's not about you. And if you understand psychology, I'm not going to do the whole thing about basic psychology. I do have a book called What You Feel You Can Heal, which is kind of like basic psychology and from a more enlightened perspective. It's not also enlightened, the psychology, because it doesn't understand gender differences. Any coach, any therapist you go to, please be warned. If they don't understand the differences between men and women, they're going to give you information that may work if you're with another woman, but not with a man. See, we different species. It's literally biologically what makes us happy is different hormones than what makes a woman happy. So you went in. So when it comes to sex, here's some more information people just don't have. They did a study with 25-year-old boys, young men, and they measured their testosterone levels on the day when they're going to have sex with their partner. And then on Tuesday, say they did a Saturday night, then on Tuesday they have sex again. after each time having sex, it goes up while they're having sex, then it goes down to their baseline. Now, what we know about all men is every year their baseline goes down. But baseline, you have sex, go back to your baseline. Then on Tuesday, you have sex, goes back to your baseline. Then on Saturday, you wake up, you're at your baseline. Now, if you have sex on Saturday night and you don't have sex on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you abstain for 6 days from ejaculating. There is such a thing as making out and kissing and loving each other without ejaculating that you can do to get this benefit. Because if you go for 6 days after ejaculation, on the 7th day, your testosterone levels go up 50%. It's like, then every time his testosterone goes up anticipating you, he bonds with you. When his testosterone goes up and nothing happens inside of you, it goes the other direction. So what you want is not, this is all some science to help you understand why you don't want to go on a weekend with him and have sex 6 times. Because if you don't have a stable relationship where he's bonded in his heart, bonded in his mind, it means he likes the way you think. He likes having conversation with you. He likes listening to you. He may not talk that much, but he likes having interaction with you. And also emotionally, he does little things and gets rewarded for it. So he feels, I got a job that's high paying. I didn't have to work that hard and I get paid so much. Okay, he's got that as a bond because when he has sex, when he's turned on, he's bonding with you in that moment. But afterwards, biologically, it goes back to the basics, goes right down the baseline. And if he's not connected with you in his heart or in his mind, he's completely disconnected from you. And it feels like yuck. After a while, it just doesn't feel good. In the beginning, sex is massive dopamine stimulator because it's new. And
also, if the sex happens too early in a dating relationship, and, everyone has their definition of what that might be. You talked about being able to share your mind, being able to share your heart, your emotions. But men have told me that it makes it more difficult for them sometimes to really bond with a woman in these other ways, because then it becomes all about the sex. It becomes all about the physical, and they may not connect with her in the same way as they might have otherwise had they connected with her mentally and emotionally, or listened to her or gone into her in that way before the sex happened. And I sometimes call these little things like heart glimpses, like you want to give him a glimpse into your heart. Like I loved what you shared about sharing something like, oh, I put my foot in my mouth, or I was so embarrassed. That's showing vulnerability. That's also showing heart glimpse. In a way, it's kind of asking for support or help, like, oh, it's okay. We all do those kind of things from time to time, that kind of thing.
It's revealing. This is what turns men on. They bond with you. But if it's just sexual, afterwards, his testosterone just went down. It's interesting. If I do something have a good conversation with her, my testosterone doesn't go down afterwards. If I do something nice for her and she appreciates it, my testosterone doesn't go down. But when you have sex and you're a man and you ejaculate, you're done. You're done for several days. And also what happens is when you have sex without bonding first, okay, you're getting to know the person, whatever. If a man has sex, we'll take the extreme. If he has sex with a one-night stand, what happens in a one-night stand is different hormones get produced. Then if you bonded with a woman, you care for her, she's important to you, you enjoy her, all about her, and you have sex with her, after you ejaculate, something happens in your body. Your body produces a hormone called prolactin. Prolactin is actually a Venus hormone, but it's a prolactin suppresses his sexual desire. If he has sex without prolactin, then after having sex, he wants sex again with a new partner. He wants sex again with a new partner. It's literally like, well, if she didn't love you, because when he bonds with you, she's now bonding with him. Okay, you can't fully bond in your heart and when you bond with a man mentally and emotionally, it affects him biologically. Whereas if you just have sex with him, he doesn't make prolactin. Prolactin causes him to lose interest in having sex. That means he doesn't have sex with anybody else, but if he's making enough testosterone, he will want sex with you. Now, that's the problem with prolactin. You see couples who love each other a lot, they stop having sex because he's got so much prolactin inside of him from making love, ejaculating with someone who loves him. So you gave your energy to her, but she gave her energy to you. You love each other. It's a whole experience. And now you have prolactin, which will suppress your sexual desire. Now, how it does that is prolactin suppresses dopamine. See, the newness of a relationship, you automatically get dopamine. Now, what's the benefit of dopamine in the beginning of a relationship? It raises testosterone in men. It raises estrogen in women. If you have bonding, then your body makes prolactin. Your prolactin levels keep you from being addicted to sex. So you no longer have addiction to sex. But why do you want to keep having sex with your partner? Well, and that's inevitable because after a while, when you make love to your partner, it's your partner and you're committed, and you're going to make prolactin. Also, you're going to have a lot of serotonin, which is ease and comfort. You don't have to go searching for another woman. So there's no new and different as familiarity sets in. So couples stop having sex. Now, what can keep the passion, unquenchable passion? This is like, for me, it doesn't go away. All she has to do is be in bed with me and I'm ready to go. Where does that come from? Because there's polarity. Two ways to raise testosterone and estrogen in a woman. One way is just have new, different experiences, which is why, for sex therapists, there's a limit to their help, but they can be helpful. They'll say, go to a hotel, go do something, go on a vacation, go somewhere new and different. That newness, it's a good thing to do, will raise your dopamine. If suddenly your husband, who never helps with housework and starts vacuuming, it will raise, it's new and different, but it will go away after a while.
Yeah, that'll turn a woman on.
But yes, it will turn. But once it becomes familiar, it's not going to do much. Okay. There's a spike in dopamine whenever your partner goes beyond your expectation, does something new and different. That's okay. These are all good things to do. But what really keeps it going, which is without dopamine, without depending on dopamine to feel masculine and for women to feel feminine, you have polarity. And polarity is where she is more feminine and he is more masculine. He's making a lot more male hormones than she is, and she's making a lot more female hormones than he's got. That's what creates the attraction. Even mentally, always agreeing with your partner will be boring. Having a different point of view. Often people say, we have to have harmony. You can have harmony and have different points of view. An idea that's foreign to our culture today with all the cancel culture. If you can't think what I think, then I'm going to disconnect, as opposed to having differences and blending those together. It's like, I don't need everything to be in agreement with me. And that's really, really important. We have to recognize what keeps relationships from thriving is our judgments. We get critical, we get judgmental, we think you should change, you're not good enough, you shouldn't think that way. We would have less of that tendency to try to change our partner if our hormones were more in balance. Okay, that means we have a sense of inner happiness, inner strength, and we don't have this neediness, which says it's not enough, it's not enough. Now, at the same time, there's a healthy version of not enough for women. The healthy version of women, when they're not enough, is ask for help. I'm not getting enough help. Okay. Now, there's a place when women don't feel that I have the help of a man, a partner who's committed to me, a partner who's there for me. When they don't have that in their life, what happens is their estrogen goes down, their testosterone goes up, and they disconnect with feeling I need help. Okay, I can do it myself. I do it myself. Mm-hmm. And I create a situation in my life where I have to do it myself. It's like you get caught into your own imbalance where now to keep it going, you have to do it. And even though I don't want to do it, I'd rather have somebody do it for me. I'd rather relax, have them do it for me sometimes, not all the time. I'm not saying just being weak and needy all the time and depending on men. It causes depression in women. And just as when men are not feeling needed, it causes depression in men. Any depressed man has low testosterone. If he's needed and can fulfill the goal, then his testosterone goes up and he feels alive. So it's always giving messages to men how they can be successful in applying themselves to provide little things for you, and then more for you, and then more for you, and then marriage or commitment first before you have sex. Then you get towards marriage, and long before you get married, just keep in mind your best negotiating power to set the boundaries in the relationship is before you get married. It's kind of unfair to have a guy who's like addicted to porn. He thinks it's all normal. Everybody's doing it. So what's the problem with it? And then you get married and now you sealed the deal. And then you say, but one red flag for me is porn. I know it's fun. I know it's enjoyable. I know it's natural. You see a naked woman, you get turned on. I'd like to be that naked woman. And as long as you have that, it's more addictive. And I feel disconnected from you. And there's nothing wrong with it. You're not bad for it. It's just for me to grow in love for you. I know that if you're doing porn, your energy's going there. It's not coming to me. You have to do it in a nice way, but you set the boundary, and you try to set that boundary before marriage. If you are married, some women listening are married. So you say this to your husband. You say, I discovered that, when I know you're doing porn and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's natural for men to be turned on to women, but there's an insecurity inside of me that I know will keep me from growing in love for you. And I want to grow in love for you. I want to be that person for you. And, I learned all that because my wife did that to me. It wasn't porn. It was, suddenly this is long before I wrote the book, Men Are From Mars, but I would teach seminars in other cities. And I was in one city and some woman got into my room wearing all these sexy clothes and wanted to have sex with me. And I had to say no. So I did say no. But she was like, wanted to talk for an hour on all the reasons why I should just do it. And it was a long conversation. And I was totally turned on. I mean, I'm a guy. A woman wants to have sex with me. My gosh, it just said, I'm a young guy. Okay, now no interest in that. But I'm interested in my partner only. It's just natural because I have so much of this prolactin hormone that says I'm not interested in sex at all, except with her, because with her, I have this polarity because she's way more feminine than me. Not any woman can trust me in reality the way my partner does. She knows me. She sees, gosh, this is amazing. A man who can hear my feelings, a man who is open to doing little things for me. He doesn't take me for granted. When you're in a relationship, you're going on dates. He's doing things for you. And you're letting him know what you like to do. You're not being immature thinking he should know everything you like to do. Don't expect that of a man. That's just unrealistic. Yes, if he just suddenly is a mind reader and does it, yes, you'll feel like a little teenage girl and, oh my God, this is a celebrity. No, the reality is he doesn't know. You let him know. Here's a few things. These are things. I know you want to know what I like to do. So here's 3 things I like to do, and keep changing it up. What else do you want to do this weekend? These are things I like to do. Most women don't do this. But it works. Okay. It's just now he knows, and now he can pick, and then he can take credit for it. If my wife says, let's go to this movie tonight. And I say, okay. And then after the movie, we're talking about how great the movie is. And she tells her friend, and the friend says, well, how'd you pick that movie? I picked it. Well, he's going to feel like a loser, and she's going to feel like I'm in charge of everything, which she doesn't want to feel. She wants to feel we're a partnership. So she makes it, this is women's wisdom. She makes it so I can take credit for it. And you know how women are. If a man takes credit for something, a woman takes credit for, I have a man that did that for me. If flowers show up in the office on Valentine's Day, and she puts a feather in her hat because her husband did that for her. He'll put a feather in his hat because he did that for her. But if she had to order the flowers and send them to him, it's a different hormonal reaction. We just have to realize this is what romance is about. This is what unquenchable desire is about. Passion. It's simply always getting excited. Now, in the beginning, you touch fingers. There's electricity, all right, because this is all imagination. What's going to happen now? Life's going to get better. Reality sets in. Maybe you touch fingers. It doesn't excite you so much. But when you get into the bed and you start loving each other and touching each other, that excitement comes back, and even more if you know the dynamics of becoming more feminine in the bed, and he becomes more masculine in the bed. And the masculine is to reassure a woman that she is loved. Everything I've talked about is men giving reassurance that women, they're not alone, that she has a man who stands by her and is prioritizing her over everything. So that's masculinity. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And she is going to her feminine side, which is, I don't have to do anything. See, when women talk about empowerment, I know the whole thing is empowered women. Look what I can do. And I can get to the glass ceiling, and I can be just like a man, and I need to be better than a man. Okay. So, and then complain that I'm better than men and I get paid less, whatever you want to complain about. Okay. So I'm on my male side. That's male empowerment. Okay. So you're a really great man. Female empowerment, if you look at the extremes of the power of femininity, is the power to attract support, the power to have other people do things for you, the power that draws in support for you. A man who he kneels before you to propose, would you marry me? That's the man you want. And so if you want to go back to that man who did that, you have to go back to being the person you were at that time. And who were you at that time? Well, you were insecure. You wanted to know, do you like me? Do you love me? Am I beautiful? Do you want to be with me? Will you be monogamous with me? Are you committed to me? Are you sure? Are you happy to be with me? Do you think you want to marry me? All those insecurities are there. If you want to feel what you felt in the beginning, that's the biggest estrogen stimulator, is be honest to yourself. You're insecure. I can be honest to myself. I'm insecure. That's why I don't walk around feeling insecure. But the reality is, when I say a standing ovation is a different experience for me than people just clapping, good job. That feels good, no problem. But why does more make me so excited? Because a part of me is always doubting, am I enough? Always doubting, am I enough? Whether I'm conscious of it or not, the motivation, combing my hair, putting on this shirt, putting on this interview, am I good enough? I want to be good enough, because a part of me is afraid. This is subconscious. If I do something wrong, I will disappoint others. I don't want to disappoint others, right? So we're motivated. Well, for women, it's not, am I enough? For women, it's, do I deserve? Okay, this is like, I remember in the 90s, because I'm a man, I don't relate to it, but all these commercials would say to women, and you deserve it. And you deserve it. I go, of course I deserve it, but a man is always looking at, am I good enough? You watch movies of TV shows on all these multimillionaires and immediately feel small in size, until I realize that, wait a second, I have my own life. I'm great. They have their life. They have their different journey. Theirs is focused on money. Mine's focused on love. That's my values. So I have to sort of build myself back up in the presence. That's what men are all about, is, am I good enough? Do I make a difference? This is what's hidden, lurking in between. That's why everything I've said today, how to respond to a man, because how you respond to a man with positive feelings or revealing things that you don't normally share. And I have to qualify that. In the beginning, do not reveal things to him, judgments or criticisms, or trying to change him. That's not it. And never try to change him, man. Just ask for help. That's the key. You're not trying to change him, just letting him know this would make me happy. So the dynamic here is, inside of a woman, I'm taking a big circle so that women may be able to find this part of them, which is insecure, which needs reassurance. Why do you need reassurance that you're beautiful, that you're loved, that you're not alone, that I'm there for you, I'm the guy, I'm happy with you, I'm not angry with you. If I was angry, I'm not angry now. I'm always so grateful to be with you. You're the one for me. I'm so happy I married you. I'm glad to do things. Today I was working really hard, and I wanted to work harder because I know it'll make us more money, and then we can go on that great vacation, whatever it is. See, these are things that men need to say, and it will have no effect. It will have less effect on a woman unless she's aware of the part of her that needs to hear that. And she needs to hear it every day of her life in some way or another. I give her hugs, 4 hugs a day. That's reassuring her she's in my life. Bonnie used to tell me, John, I need reassurance. I had no idea what that meant. I married you. I support you. What do you need reassurance for? Until she reveals to me, part of me feels insecure. So when I had that woman wanting to come on to me, I came home. I said, honey, sex for a guy can be meaningless. I mean, it's just fun to do. This woman wanted to have sex with me. I got turned on. I mean, I completely love you, but I'm a guy. So, so I wonder, is it okay if, like, I'm away, I'm never going to see the person again, I can have sex with them? Is that going to be a problem? Can you give me permission? She said, John, I don't want to tell you what to do. All I can say is, if I thought that you're having sex with another woman, I'd feel very insecure and be afraid that you could leave me for somebody else who was better than me. And I'm getting older. We all get older. I would feel insecure, and my heart couldn't grow, and I have to start protecting myself, knowing that you're not mine. You're not mine. See, everybody has a bad word on attachment. No, that's what sex is. It's total attachment. I'm yours, you're mine, and we're one. That's a beautiful thing. That's complete attachment and freedom at the same time, because I'm not trying to change you. So she said so beautifully, I don't want to change you. I don't want to control you. I can just tell you what I feel inside. And if you were to do that, so many men do those things. My father did those things. My father did those things. But all I can say to you is, I would start feeling more insecure, and I wouldn't be able to grow in my ability to love you and be happy. So that would be your gift to me. I said, honey, you got it. See how she communicated that to me? It didn't make me feel like,
what an inspired answer she gave.
Yeah, it was. But see, it's all true. And the truth of this is, I have insecurity, which is why I need her to acknowledge, hey, she's happy with me, It's hard if your wife isn't happy with you to feel good when you come home. You could feel great from your work, come home, and then she's saying, you forgot to bring home the milk and you didn't do this and you should have done that. And that floor, you left your shoes in front of the TV set. Do you think I'm supposed to like clean up after you all the time? You know, all these messages just knock a man down. And as opposed to if he does leave his socks in front of the TV set or his shoes and you don't want to pick up after him, don't pick up after him. Let it sit there for a few days and say, oh, honey, would you pick up your shoes and help me clean up this room? And he'll pick up the shoes. And I'm laughing because I'm remembering when I used to leave T-shirts in front of my T-shirt drawer. I take off my T-shirt and I pull another one out. Okay, so that was, T-shirt would be on the floor. I didn't think to put it in the hamper, which is only in a closet next to that. So finally, Bonnie said, you always leave your T-shirts on the floor. Can't you remember? I said, I'll try. But it was a negative message. Men forget negative messages. We remember positive messages. So I said to her, I said, honey, just let the pile get big enough. And then I'll see it, remember it, and I'll put it in the hamper. Well, it was really hard for her to do that. She says, it's not
let the pile get big enough.
Pile gets bigger. So then what she did, as I said, then if you notice the pile and I'm at any stage and I'm in the room, it's fine to ask for my help. Just say, John, would you help me clean up the room and put your T-shirts in the hamper? Now look at the wisdom of it. Would you pick up? So she did this on another day. She basically said, oh, John, would you help me clean up the room and pick up and put your T-shirts in the hamper? Now she had already cleaned up the bedroom. Okay. And as part of why I love her, she love-hate to a certain extent, which is, you know, she had to have everything beautiful in the house and I'm kind of messy, but we worked that through. And this is part of how we did it, which was she, instead of complaining, which I don't want to complain, you forgot again. Instead, what she did, she waited for a little pile to get there. And then she said, oh, John, would you help me clean up the room? Again, a request for help. Man, well, I'll help you. And then she simply said, would you put your T-shirts in the hamper? And then she didn't say, you forgot to do it. It's only 2 feet away. Why can't you remember? It's not a big deal. Can't you just do this if you love me? And none of that stuff. She just said, oh, would you help me clean up the room and move your T-shirts into the hamper? And I said, sure. And I put T-shirts in the hamper. And then she took a deep breath. Now look how beautiful the room is. And I went, yes, I did that. I took credit for cleaning the whole room. Okay. So, and women would think, oh, that's so generous of her. Yes, but it's so wise of her. It didn't motivate. Within a couple of times, she did a couple of times. After that, she never had to do it again. And then later on, I would pick up her stuff. And of course, I said, did you notice I picked up your head? I want a little credit for it. But it was so sweet how to approach a man in a way that always makes him feel he's helping you. You're not judging him based on the past. He hasn't failed you 15 times before. What a nuisance he is. And I know you have these feelings inside. They build up. Don't share them with him. Okay. First of all, they won't build up if you feel I can ask for what I want. And you start with little things, then you get to bigger things. Then you also have to recognize you're on your male side. You're pushing down your female side all day to a certain extent, various degrees for different women. So when you come home from time to time, in the beginning, you do what my feeling letter process. You go through, write out on a piece of paper. This is work. You have to do some work on yourself instead of expecting everything from him. Write out what you're frustrated about during the day. And you use the phrase, I feel frustrated. And you're exploring what frustrates me, what's not working for me. And then I feel disappointed. And then you look at what's feeling disappointed about, because life is never everything you want, right? So,
right.
And sometimes when you start feeling disappointment, you might also feel sad and you write out what you feel sad about. But it's starting with just disappointment, because if you're on your male side, it's not easy to go to your feeling sad. It's easy to go to disappointment, though. It's easy to go to frustration. And now with frustration, you might go a little deeper into, I'm angry that he said this and he didn't do this. So frustration, disappointment, then my concerns. What are some of my concerns? It's just doing a little inventory. See, these are emotions inside of us that you can get to your female side. They're concerned, and writing out a few concerns, then you'll be able to click into, and I'm afraid this isn't going to happen. I'm afraid this is going to happen. Write out your fears, and then write out what you're embarrassed about. And you can always, every day, if you're getting older, I'm embarrassed, my clothes don't fit. It's a simple thing, if that's what you feel. But if you feel no embarrassment in your life, you're kidding yourself, because we're all flawed human beings and we want to be better. And it only brings you back to that vulnerable part that wants to be better. So I feel embarrassed about this. And what I would really like, write out what I wish, write out what I want, then write out what I'm grateful for, write out what I'm happy about, write out what I feel confident about, and write out what I'm proud of. You see, you are processing yourself. You're going from your negative emotions to your positive emotions. With practice, now you can do the same exercise with him. It's a major estrogen stimulator, which is you basically say, oh, honey, I'm so happy to talk to you. Glad you're home. He says, okay, what did I do right? Or what can I do? It's just, I just want to tell you about my day. I just need to talk about for a few minutes because I was really frustrated about something. Would you listen to me for 5 minutes? That's it. Would you listen to me? If I get it out, I'll feel better. You have to say that. And you say, it's not a big deal, but if I get it out, remember, if you say to a man, it's not a big deal, he'll relax and hear whatever you have to say. As soon as you say it's a big deal, or he thinks you're saying it's a big deal, he just goes, why is it a big deal? And wants to push it down. But you just say, sometimes I just need to talk about this. It just makes me feel better. If you're married, you could say, it makes me feel closer to you. But you really don't have to say anything. And I prefer you don't say anything because I just need to have you listen, hear it, and I'm done. You'll see, I go from positive to negative. I go from negative to positive. It just helps me. So would you take a few minutes to listen? You don't have to say anything. Don't do anything. Just hear me out, and then I'll feel closer to you. And he might not understand this. You just say, why do you think 90% of the people who go to therapists are women? They just want to talk because when they talk, they make female hormones. So just let me talk for 5 minutes. You just be present. That's all. And then afterwards, you say, oh, I must feel good. I feel happy. I get to be with you, and go in for a hug and say, thanks for listening, and then go into another room. So he doesn't feel like he has to talk or you think he has to say some magic word because you're upset. There is a magic word that men can say, but they're not listening to this talk. But what I say is, instead of my brain wants to give all these solutions of why you shouldn't be upset about these things or little things. It's no big deal. That's why you say to them in the beginning, it's no big deal. Men always want to tell you it's no big deal. So you already said it, so you didn't need to say that. He had nothing to say then. But he's still going to think you could look at things differently, his way of looking at it. So to avoid that, you go out of the room. And if you're a man listening to my message, there is something you can say, which is help me understand that better.
Yeah, the woman's going to love that.
Yes, it's magic. Help me understand that better. Tell me more.
Yeah, I'm not even telling you anything. Just having you say that made me feel good.
It's so good. It's so good. And then when she seems to be done, what else? It's women have so much in there that come up. It's surprising that there's more. So this is a dance that men can learn, but women can also just take the initiative of asking for help and getting what they need. That's female power. That's your empowerment. Is I don't have to do it all. What do I need? How do I get it? One is you teach him how to listen. Next is you reveal to him your insecurities. And you're going to say, now this is after you're dating for a while. You want to keep that passion because it could be gone. If he's like doing porn or he's ejaculating a lot or you had a whole bunch of sex, he's going to lose interest in you pretty quick. Because it's too much estrogen. He needs to rebuild his testosterone. He needs to pull away to rebuild his testosterone. And look at me. I do sex all the time at 72. I can do it more than once or once every 10 days, whatever. It takes a little longer for men to recover because I've learned how to have sex without ejaculating. So I'm always in the mood and I'm always connected to her. It never disconnects. But that takes a lot of maturity and new knowledge and skills to do that. But you just don't want to push too much sex. That's the message I'm giving. And if you do have too much sex, he's going to need time to go to his cave to recover. And I just going on this little vacation for 4 days, just with her all the time, caring for all the time, having a good time. I came home and I realized, I'm not feeling my normal attraction for her. Where did it go? I said, I just need cave time. So I told her, I'm just going to watch 2 movies and the news on TV tonight. And you just do what you need to do. And after I had all that, then suddenly I just felt it. Once I got my cave time, my testosterone came back up and I wanted to have sex with her. But before that, I did not want to have sex with her. Men need distance to want to connect. If you don't have distance. So part of the distance is if she's more feminine, I'm more masculine. That's polarity. Then you will have that attraction. Even though you have all of this for the man, even though you have all this female hormone that takes away your desire for sex, it's the polarity that can create it. That 30 years you've been with my wife, always open to having sex. And very important, if I wasn't practicing orgasm while ejaculation, then we don't have too much sex. There's always at least a week in between. And then we go on a vacation. Yeah, we can indulge in all that, but then he's going to need time to recover. So now you went on this hot date with him. He's connecting with you. He's feeling a lot of affection towards you. He needs to pull back. That's Mars, Venus. 101, men are from Mars, he has the rubber band. He needs distance to find his affection for you, to have his desire to connect back to his female side, which is what you are. However, if he goes off to porn, then he doesn't ever feel that need to come close to you. So that's one of the challenges women have today. So you want to at least don't spend a lot of time with him. Don't have long conversations with him. Don't have a lot of connection with him. A little bit, feel good. And then you have to force the distance with him. That will always make him desire more for you, as opposed to too much connection makes too much estrogen in men. Too much estrogen in women, you start to feel needy. Oh, this is something I like. I want this. And at that point, he's pulling away, and then your heart feelings are hurt. So that's another dynamic of never, ever, ever, when a man calls you back after 2 weeks of ignoring you, say, why didn't you call? No. What you can do instead is get your need met, which is connection. You can do that with text messages. It's a great thing that we can do now, is rather than say, why didn't you call, or waiting for him to call, it's just a little text message. You're familiar with Lauren's text message techniques that she has in her class, Understanding Men, which I highly recommend as well. Michelle's magnificent. Lauren is magnificent. And she has a 6-week course for women, Understanding Men. So when he pulls away, don't call him up, but send him a FYI, a note, just a short little note. I just went for coffee, and they had the most amazing almond croissants. It was like there was rainbows in the sky. All you're doing is telling you, imagine he asked you, how was your day? He didn't ask you. He's pulling away. But what happens is when men pull away for a while, then they're afraid to come back because they're afraid I hurt your feelings, or you'll be mad at me, or whatever. So count that one out and move on. You want to just create the message of you are talking, you're here, and you're happy, even though he's not in your space. Okay, that's it. He needs to remember, yeah, she's a happy woman. Yes, she's fulfilling. She's easy to please. Okay, I like that. So it's amazing just to have a woman not asking for more at that point. He's pulling away. You don't ask for more. It's when he's coming close to you, that's when you ask for more. And you ask for little things. Would you do this for me? It would be so helpful if you did this. If you have I have one woman who's just fallen madly in love with this man because he fixes her sort of physical things, her toilet, he fixes her deck, he fixes this, and she can't help but just open her heart to him. And then when he doesn't do it, she gets all upset. I said, no, you have to keep asking. Remember, you asked him, you told him I had this problem. Would you do this for me? She probably didn't say, would you do it? She just sort of put it out there. What I'm saying is actually say, would you help me? It's a magic phrase to have. Men always, that's what we all want to be in relationships. We want to help each other. It's just that that's the male side of us. Women have the male side of them. They have a lot of testosterone, just not as much as men. And what we know to be the case, I think we'll finish up with this. Biologically, our heart closes when our stress levels go up. Okay, this is biology. Okay, you literally have less blood flow coming to the left prefrontal cortex, which is optimism. And when you're not feeling optimistic, your heart will tend to close. You're feeling pessimistic. Pessimistic is the right side of the brain is activated. So under stress, if you have any blood flow going to your brain at that time, it will go to the right side. You want to be able to go right side then left side. Do left side negative with your journaling, or with your girlfriends, or with your therapist, or with your coach is all important things. Don't go to him for that. But when you do the Venus talk, you can talk about other things that are bothering you, not him. That's all key to this.
It's a huge distinction right there.
Yeah, it's so big. It's so big. And he's going to give advice in the beginning, and you can very gently just say, well, that makes sense. But actually right now, I just need to talk about this. And just you being someone listening to me makes me feel good. I'm not alone. For me as a woman, feeling alone is a big source of stress. And just that you're with me, it just makes me feel so good. That's why I like going out with you. The other night we were at this movie, and you walked me to the car, like I met a friend, just a woman who's single, and I was with my wife and she was single, and bumped into each other at the ice cream store. May I walk you to your car? And she said, no, I can do it myself. I let her do it herself. And maybe I should have just said, no, I'm going to do it anyway. Actually, that would have made her feel much better. I just forgot to do it. But it was like, I'm happy to walk you to your car. It's just yes, I'm a confident woman. I can do all this myself. Let him help you. And when he does it, you'll feel something. And what you feel, maybe a little embarrassed. Maybe you feel like that felt really good. Or maybe you'll feel sad that I don't have that in my life. This is all good. Get you to feel your emotions of vulnerability. And the biggest one that I was building up to, doing a lot of foreplay for this point, because it's a hard sell, but it's so beautiful. The ultimate technique is when you get to that stage in a relationship, not on your first, second, third, fourth date, okay, you still have all the dopamine, the attractions there, but you get to a certain point where you say, for me to have sex, I need to feel I'm in a committed relationship. And that's how you bring up that subject, by the way. It's when he says, why can't we go further? Because I like to be in a committed relationship. It just doesn't feel good if I'm opening my heart to you and you're off with some other woman. Everybody knows that. So it's all fine. So that's a dynamic. Now you're in a committed relationship. And then you start to feel safer with him. Then you say, what I've learned in my life, kind of like how Bonnie told me, if you were to do that, then I would feel more insecure. I couldn't grow in my love. You can just say, I'm this confident, capable woman at work, but there's a vulnerable part of me that likes to hear you say you like me, you enjoy being with me, you think I'm beautiful, that you want to be with me. But every woman deep inside wants a commitment that nobody's going to take you away. I want you to be my man. I want to be your woman. Something along those lines. You have to find your own language for it. But the bottom line is, what I've found is that if I can express my own insecurities and you reassure me, I will feel so good. So just so I'll feel so good, even though maybe there's other women that don't have insecurities. I have insecurities, but that's why I appreciate you so much. One technique you can say to reveal insecurities is you can say, you're the most amazing man. I feel like you're a diamond, and if you have a lot of diamonds, you're afraid somebody's going to take them. And you're like my diamond. And so I when I love you so much, I start becoming afraid of losing you. And I know you love me. I know you care about me. You do so many things for me. But I still have this part, the better you are, the more insecure I get in touch with. And so to hear you say you love me is really helpful. And for me to say to you, do you love me? And then you say, and of course I know you love me intellectually, but emotionally, do you love me? And then you say, I love you. And then I'll say, how much do you love me? And then you say, I love you with all my heart. And then I'm going to say, do you like being with me? And I'm going to say, I love being with you. I like being with me. Did you enjoy doing this for me the other day when I asked you? Yes, I love doing it. These little things I'm happy to do. Are you sure if I ask for little things, it's okay that I can ask you? Yes, you can ask me for anything. So what you're revealing in words, that's just very important. In words, you're revealing in words to him your insecurities. Because this is going on when men are in their cave. Is he mad at me? Is he punishing me? What do I have to do to get him back? This is insecurity. This is a sweet exercise that you just say, this will just help me stay in touch with my female vulnerability, which makes estrogen. I need more estrogen. And older I get, I need more estrogen. So it's awkward for me, maybe a little awkward for you, but if we do this, you'll see, I'll feel good. And I think you'll feel good because I really need it. I really appreciate it. So it's such an easy task for a man to just listen to her for a few minutes as do you love me? How much do you love me? Do you like me? Do you think I'm beautiful? Do you always want to be with me? Am I the one for you? And just to hear your positive responses and whatever other little insecurities like that come up, there's a bunch that can come up. Then when he says, yes, I love you, he will feel his love more. Why? Because you're letting it in and you're feeling it more. See, you need the reassurance. And when he provides it, it's literally like he plants his flag out there and he'll defend that flag. And his brain will keep finding reasons to justify and be right that he says, I love you. It's not enough for love to grow just to secretly feel inside, well, sure, I love my partner. But men don't feel it as much as when you're needing it and he says it and he solved the problem. I'm giving her what she needs. And biologically, your estrogen will go up. Just like when people clap for me, my testosterone goes up. When my wife is happy to see me, my testosterone goes up. When she asked me to go, will you make orange juice for me? Tonight, she says, will you take me to the grocery store and we're going to get a steak and make a steak for me? I said, okay, happy to do it. And I'm not always happy to do it. But at this point, when I'm making the steak, it's already, the unhappiness is gone. It's a hassle to make the steak. It doesn't always come out right. So rather just, why don't we go to a restaurant and get steak? She's, oh, your steaks are so much better. I love them. And it's so sweet. Asking for help is such a beautiful way for a man to feel motivated and for a woman's estrogen to go up so she can feel more accepting, more trusting, and more appreciative of him. So this is a masterful technique that I said, none of that last one I just gave, this last technique of the reassurance exercise, is not in any of my books. Venus Talks, sharing your feelings is, and asking for help is in whole chapters on how to ask for help. But this is how to ask for reassurance. And it's a very powerful thing. Because as a man, what do you need reassurance for? It doesn't make sense to me. Of course I love you. Of course I do this. So you set it up with the message, of course you love me. You do so much for me. But because you do so much, you're like a diamond. Imagine going out in public and you've got a diamond around your neck that's huge. You're afraid somebody's going to take it. So it stimulates this insecurity. So I just need a little reassurance. It will take a few minutes to do. Now, once you're doing it outside the bedroom, now at the times when you're making love, let's do it when we make love. And while you're making love, you have this first physical arousal, then you go into emotional arousal, and your estrogen levels will go so high. Your estrogen going so high raises his testosterone level so high, and therefore he can last longer. He can be more about you. He can take you to higher levels, and you feel so much connection to where you begin to feel, yes, I'm yours, you're mine, we are one. It's like a sense of ownership, even though there's freedom along with it, because you're never trying to change your partner. But you're mine. It's like, my car. And when I teach men, another thing about understanding a woman is empathy. When you have empathy for her, doesn't mean you're telling her how to not feel that way. You're just validating why she feels that way. Now, I might disagree with her when she feels, oh, there's so much traffic and, so stressful. Well, traffic's not stressful for me. I'm very good at it. Okay. So I have no issue with it. I know how to change lanes, go here, go here. It's all exciting challenge for me, raises my testosterone. So I can't agree that too much traffic I don't have the experience of it having her experience, but I can experience if she says to me, I was so frustrated when there was traffic and I didn't get there in time and it was a bummer. I felt I was so disappointed and now I'm concerned they're not going to trust me next time. And it was so embarrassing when I showed up and I was like 10 minutes late. I should plan better. See, you're revealing, I can relate to all that. See, that's emotion. And inside of it, they have this emotion. So he can connect to the emotion, even if he doesn't have the experience that you have. Be like complaining about your high heel shoes. I've never worn high heel shoes. So I don't know what that was like, but I got to wear those high heel shoes. And it was so frustrating for me, or I was embarrassed because I slipped out of them, whatever it is. We can relate to emotions. That's why we want to be with a woman, is we want to connect with her femininity, because we have a feminine side and it gets awakened by being of service, by hearing, by understanding, by doing things for a woman. Our own female side comes up. And that's how we stay on our male and female side. How does a woman stay on her male and female side? Just becoming a man does not allow you to go to your female side. You have all this power on your masculine side. Now, what's the power of your feminine side? They want you on both powers, and that's asking for help, taking responsibility to ask for what you want, to get what you want by asking the right way, by asking the right amount. You just can't ask for too much right away. You've got to build this up. You've got to train him. You've got to give him the experience, and then gradually ask for more and more and more. And then you get married because you feel like, okay, I can get what I need. And still you have to keep asking for more because men forget. We have this tendency. I did it once. Now I don't have to do it again. It's like mission accomplished. I don't have to write this book again. I wrote it. It's done. It's out there. Going for a long time. What do I need to write a book for? So that's their mind. As you accomplish it, it's done, as opposed to you have to do it again and again and again. And if you women want to feel, they want their relationship to feel like it was when the dopamine was there and estrogen was there and his testosterone was there. What were you doing at that time? You were all the time concerned. Okay, is he the right one for me? Does he love me? Does he like me? Am I pretty enough? Does he want to be with me? Could he be the one for me? You were all the time looking for reassurance. And what was he doing? He was constantly looking for reassurance that this is a woman that I can fulfill. This is a woman that I have what it takes to make her happy. And when men don't get that reassurance, that's when men are giving up on a relationship. They say the same thing. They say, no matter what I do, it's never enough to make her happy. That's the bottom line for men. So her job, in a sense, is to open her heart, reassuring him all the time, as much as possible, that he has what it takes to make her happy. He doesn't have to change, but he can do more. That's because you ask, you get. Such a subtle distinction between complaining and asking. Complaining never works. Nagging never works. Asking And if he doesn't do it the first time, ask again another time, ask again the third time as if it's the first time. No emotional charge. You just know it's going to take a while to train this guy. And after 3 times you've asked and he doesn't do it, then realize maybe I'm asking too much. I need to say something littler and train her with that. And then train him with that. So you build up his ability to recognize little things make a big difference. And our world teaches men little things mean nothing. Okay. If I empty trash, that's a low paying job. You know, if I write a book, that's a big paying job. So what's my priority? I'm going to write the book, bring home the bucks, make my wife happy, take her on nice vacations, blah, blah. That's the big stuff. Men do not have an intuitive understanding of women. We're just lost. We don't understand women at all. And that's why if you take my class, my daughter's class, which is at MarsVenus.com, and you take the Understanding Women, it's for women only. I recommend if you're in a relationship, have your spouse take the class with you. Because as women don't understand men, men start to realize how they don't understand women who don't understand men. I mean, it's hugely revealing. I mean, it took 1.5 years for us to write that one. And then she performs it, does it online. She writes them, I edit them, but it's amazing. I'm just so proud of her. And of course, everybody knows he's a proud father, but it's really, really very helpful. I want to urge women, if you want to understand men better, listen to all my stuff, but listen to her stuff too. And a lot of free stuff as well at MarsVenus.com.
Yeah, thank you, John, for mentioning that. And I highly recommend them because I really think the more we understand about ourselves, the more we understand about each other, the more tools we have. That's why I love featuring your work, because the more tools we have, the more successful we can be, the more enjoyment we can get from relationships. And they really are such a beautiful part of life that can bring so much joy and so much fulfillment and so much learning. I mean, don't you think a relationship is like the ultimate classroom? It has been for me.
It always is. It's the ultimate line. And I want to mention for women, I encourage women to write out their feelings, as I was just suggesting, as a way of processing what's inside. Maybe it's not the only way, but it's a way I've seen to be very effective. Always, when you have negative emotions, be able to come back to positive emotions without the outer world changing. See, as long as we wait for the outer world to change, we're using our negativity to get a result. We can't let go of our negativity. All negative emotions are subconsciously, and the reason why we have anger is to intimidate people to give us more. The reason we have fear is so that we don't have to do and get other people to do for us. The reason we feel sad is have people take pity on us. The reason we feel sorry is to build trust. These are all mechanisms of a premature, uncivilized human being. It's just emotional. They serve a purpose. And you never want to give up the emotional brain because that's part of who you are. You want to embrace that, kind of like a childlike part of you. You know, people say heal the inner child. I'm all for healing the inner child by being in your adult and doing it. Don't just be like a child. You know, what was it? Christ said, you know, you have to be like a child to enter the gates of heaven, but you don't become a child. Okay. Don't infantize yourself, but be like a child, which is in touch with your emotions, in touch with your feelings, your tenderness, your vulnerability, and so forth. And men can go over to their female side, but they need to stay on their male side stronger. And that's why a marriage with a woman allows you to be in her and yourself at the same time. See, it's very interesting. You know, I want to have soft feelings, tender feelings, loving feelings, compassionate feelings, empathy feelings, all of that. But if I'm only that, then I become weak. My testosterone goes down. So let me provide the space for my wife to be that way and then empathize with her. And now I'm on my female side. I'm providing pleasure for her when I'm in my male side and making love. So I'm feeling her pleasure. It's my pleasure. So it's no longer just about me. And it's not even trying to increase my pleasure. It's about supporting her and enjoying the moment. And, you know, there's too much goal orientation in sex. Women should just let go of having an orgasm. Who cares? I'm enjoying being with my partner. And men should provide that. And without the goal, because see, when you have a goal, you're on your male side. We want her to be on her female side of just letting go and enjoying the process, expressing the love, take it from the genitals into the heart. And then also asking for what you want if you're not getting it in a gentle way, in a way that works for both of you. Okay, well, we covered a lot of points today.
We really did, John, and I loved it because every time I talk to you, I know there are new things that are coming forward that are going to help so many people. And I really thank you for your generosity. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for the privilege of connecting with you again.
Oh, always a joy. Michelle, I do a lot of interviews, but more people go to your interviews. So I have to thank you for that, because my message, my purpose in life, besides being a good husband, good father to my kids, my grandchildren, is to make a difference in the world. So this is a gift you give me by allowing me to bring this to so many people. The beautiful interviews, and you tend to draw out the best in me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. As always, I appreciate it so much, and lovely to connect with you. And for everybody watching, yes, my channel, it really features so much of John's work because I'm such a huge fan, and I've been privileged to interview him a lot over the last 10 years. So check everything out if you haven't checked it out before. And I'm sure we'll be back again soon. And thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it very much. Bye-bye for now.